Plus, with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
The South African president in the Oval Office. Lisa Brady, Fox News. At a tense time with the U.S., President Cyril Ramaphosa telling reporters,
we are essentially here to reset the relationship between the United States and South Africa.
The U.S. recently cutting aid and allowing more than 50 white minority Afrikaners into the U.S. as refugees over land reform laws and claims of discrimination and attacks on white farmers.
A lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted, and they're coming to the United States.
The South African leader pushing back moments ago, saying his government's policy is not as what's being described. The two presidents also plan to discuss other issues, including trade. The House Speaker and members of the Freedom Caucus plan White House meetings later today, still trying to iron out differences on a bill to advance the president's agenda. A federal judge ordering that illegal immigrants flown out of the U.S. this week remain in American custody for now.
Boston federal judge Brian Murphy says the federal government may have violated his order not to deport violent illegal aliens to countries that aren't their home countries where they may be in danger. But ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons says they did follow the law here.
Their home countries refused to take these individuals back. ICE is bound by Zavidas, which is a Supreme Court decision. After 6 months or 180 days, if we don't have a country that'll take their citizens back, we do have an option to find a safe third country.
Homeland Security would not confirm where the criminal aliens were sent, though an official says per the judge's order, they are still in American custody. ICE says these 8 criminals consist of murderers and child rapists, as well as someone who violently assaulted a handicapped person.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal, attorneys for multiple migrants from several countries say they were flown to South Sudan. America is listening to Fox News.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
The northwest flow is back, 60s to near 70 this afternoon, partly to mostly sunny skies. Clear, cool, windy during the evening, then the winds fade, 52. Thursday, sunny, breezy, 68, 49 Thursday night. Friday, sunny and 69. And then, yes, unsettled weather back late Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, though it will not be raining all the time. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Here's the hard truth. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half its buying power. That means a $100,000 savings account today could feel like $50,000 by 2031. And you see it every time you fill up your tank, buy groceries, or pay the bills. Prices are up. Your dollar is down. But there's a simple way to protect the value of your savings with something real, something proven. Gold, an asset that holds its value over time. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to protect your savings things with physical gold or silver. No high-pressure sales, no call centers. Just honest guidance, one-on-one support, and transparent pricing. And right now, when you open a qualified account, Noble Gold will send you a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar as a thank you. Head to noblegoldinvestments.com today to learn more. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Step outside and fall in love with your backyard again. From inviting porch overhangs to durable composite decks and cozy screen rooms, Lakeside Renovation and Design creates stunning outdoor living spaces designed for relaxation, entertaining, and making memories. With expert craftsmanship and top-quality materials, your new outdoor oasis will be perfect for every season. Call Lakeside Renovation and Design today or visit lakesiderd.com to get started. Let's turn your backyard into the retreat you've always dreamed of.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're gonna be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TRADE25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TRADE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TRADE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code TRADE25.
Are you looking for an easy way to get a daily detox? Active Liver is the easy way to get a daily detox. To keep you healthy and feeling your best, you can find Active Liver in the vitamin aisle at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome to the Annie Fry Show. Thanks for tuning in here to 97.1 FM Talk. We are very full today on a really good show planned for you. The president right now is in the Oval Office, and Ernie Els is having a conversation with the South African president, Donald Trump. It's a wild time to be alive.
I was a little confused.
Brian goes,
Ernie
the
Els.
South African president's name is Ernie Els? Like, no.
And then they camera panned over to Ernie Els.
To Ernie Els.
Like, oh, it's Ernie Els.
Yes.
Okay.
That makes more sense. What are the odds?
It's actually him.
We have coming up at 12:25, 18 minutes from now, we're going to speak with Senator Jim Talon. Yesterday, the president announced the Golden Dome, which is supposed to be the Iron. What is it? The Iron Dome? Is that Israel? The Iron Dome, but for us, Israel is the size of like Jersey.
Yeah,
New
it's not
Jersey.
big. Yeah. This is a lot bigger deal.
I kind of feel like this should be platinum.
You know what, though? With the dome, you really only have to put it around the edge.
I don't think that's true because they can bomb us from the atmosphere.
Well, that's the way I understood it, so.
God help us if Ryan Wiggins is in charge of the Golden Dome. I went to the Thomas Helbig event last night, and we had a full house at the Frontenac Hilton. And there's a man there named George, and he told me to give you a message.
Uh-oh.
He told me to smack you.
Are you going to do it?
No.
Good.
I was just going to tell you publicly. But then he went on to compliment you. But it was led by the physical greeting.
So some guy named George is going to walk up and smack me at some point and then tell me that he likes me.
No. Well, maybe. I don't know.
It's a cultural thing.
For George's?
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means at all. The Golden Dome, the announcement of the Golden Dome is supposed to be billions and billions of dollars invested in making sure that we have the ability to protect ourselves from any sort of missile strike anywhere across our country. Does this include Hawaii and Alaska? Like, I have some questions. Are they like, we're like, oh, sorry, not contiguous?
That's a good, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
We're like, or maybe it includes them in Canada. We're like, could have been the 51st state, bro. Sorry, bud. Look at that. I'm going to talk to Jim Talent about this as a strategy because, we grew up in the 80s and 90s and we remember the Ronald Reagan Star Wars days. And when it was being discussed then, it was was it a bluff? Was it a realistic intention for the Reagan administration? Well, you don't get to the point where you can have an Iron Dome in Israel and a Golden Dome in the United States without first having an absolutely outrageous idea. And Elon Musk is somebody who is actually making things like this possible. And of course, we have a lot. Elon Musk isn't the only genius that we have right now in our country working on these types of things. There are a lot of people who might have the capacity to make this to make this happen. The content's not funny. It's just what's going on in
There's
here.
stuff going on in the studio.
Yeah.
So.
And I also want to talk to Senator Talent about the Middle East trip. That last week, all of these huge things happening with the trip overseas. That was last week, right?
Yeah. It just ended at the end of last week.
He gets back. He's got to get the big, beautiful bill done this week. It is so intense, the pace with which this administration is trying to get things done. When I was in D.C. was the 100-day celebration. 121 days this man has been in office. 121 days. He goes to the Middle East. He goes to these different countries. He brings back investment in the country. He really... There are people who are saying that initial speech that he gave, which would it have been in Saudi Arabia? The first one?
Yeah.
Was like a speech for the ages. The way he spoke and the message that he delivered is like one of those iconic speeches that will be remembered in history. And when he goes there and he says that, the United States we're not interested in nation building. We're not interested in managing what you're doing over there. We want mutual benefit, mutual business interests. And he's taking the idea of it's really capitalism, bringing it to these countries and saying the United States isn't going to be a hindrance to this anymore, and you guys are going to invest in our country, and we're all going to become better because of it. People who are not in great despair, people who are not in abject poverty, there is something to live for in that. And the St. Louis Storms right now, this has come into a laser focus. In a movie when you're watching a movie and then what do you call that kind of it's not a rack focus, but where whatever's in the foreground like approaches the screen and everything else kind of goes back and it comes into a clear focus on what is that called?
It's just called focusing. There's no technical term for it.
But there's like movement in depth of field or something like that when that happens. I don't know.
It depends on what the camera's doing.
That's what I was asking. What do you call it? But anyway, the stuff that's going on in St. Louis right now with the cleanup, with the tornadoes, the recovery after the tornadoes, folks, we're going to speak with Congressman Wesley Bell on the Annie Frey Show in just a little over an hour at the 125 segment. He's going to join us via Zoom. Is that right, Brad? Zoom call? So
yes,
he's going to join us via video. It'll be live streamed as well on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. And I am watching a lot being made politically about the action of FEMA, how quickly they've been able to come in here and get stuff done, and a lot to be made out of it. And every single time I hear that conversation, the whole point is just to make a point about Donald Trump. All they want to do when they're discussing, the reaction of FEMA to this particular very close to home for all of us here listening in the St. Louis area. It's all about, has FEMA done enough and have they been here soon enough? Folks, the pace of government is glacial. It's incredibly slow. Government is not the best way to solve these problems. I'm not saying that it's not necessary. I'm not saying that there isn't good that can be done, but I'm telling you that there are copious amounts of groups that are on the ground in St. Louis right now doing more specific, more focused, more helpful work to aid the people of St. Louis who in North City, in many cases, were living in poverty and their homes were crumbled to the ground. A lot of these people probably don't have the necessary insurance that they're going to need to recover from this. Do you know what's going to save North City? You. Do you know what's going to rebuild this area of St. Louis to a better place? It's you. It's not the government that's going to show up, and everybody. Like, I'm pulling my hair out over here over this because everybody who was like, where's FEMA? I'm like, I know. It's a government entity. It's a massive endeavor. It requires funding that has to be passed by 435 people in the House, then 100 people in the Senate, and then signed by the government, by the president. All of this stuff has to come into place. Guys, look at where FEMA has been on the East Coast hurricanes. Look at how they have reacted. Look at the people all over our country right now who have not been served in a timely fashion by this government entity. It is inefficient. It is not quick. It is not fast. It's just the absolute case in point, proof positive evidence that I need to understand that the government cannot replace the will, the goodwill, the effort, and the intuitive nature to help where help is needed that you can provide here in St. Louis, that you can show up to, and we're hustling here. You know, we have a bully pulpit here on a radio station. We have a bunch of sister stations. We cover a lot of St. Louis. When we have KMOX as a sister station, we have KZK and Y98 and 96.3. Who am I forgetting? Did I forget somebody? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1041 KMOX FM. Yeah. They're all strutting around like they're talking on FM now, and we're like, yeah, we know. Sorry, Steve. There's never been a better case scenario for you and I to study where when government shows up to help, it's not going to be quick enough. It's not going to be sufficient enough. The goodwill of the people of this community is going to have to be fully injected into restoring some level of civility in food, in water, in shelter, whatever it might be. It can't be done without you. And wow, anybody who is taking this opportunity right now, the devastation that is within walking distance from where we are standing right now, we were in a position while this tornado was happening where they were showing it in Forest Park, coming towards Forest Park. And while we were in here on Friday, and we truthfully did not know how close we were to this thing.
No.
I'm like, these are double pane windows. We probably should have moved. And we were that close to it.
Well, the direction that we're facing, we couldn't see it as much.
Well, we got trees.
Yeah, and
the
trees, too.
Soldiers Memorial is right here. The library's right here. It's just not, our view wasn't wide open, but we could see the skies, and the skies were really scary. It just missed us. And then it ravaged North City. It was right here. And what we have right now in this moment, while these buildings are still crumbled to the ground, people don't know where they're going to sleep. People don't know what they're going to eat. People don't know how they're going to get fresh water. People don't know the answers to these questions right now. The government isn't going to solve these problems. It's never going to be big enough to solve all of our problems. The people are the ones who solve the problems, and they're doing it right now. All of the different groups that are coming together to help on the ground right now, that's where the solution happens. Can the government subsidize that? Yes. In the case of a tragedy, of a God event like this, yes, the government can come in and help. I'm not saying that no government assistance is ever necessary at all. I've never said that, and I'm not saying it now. But I'm saying that the real, true difference will be made by the people of St. Louis who understand where the need is, and they're willing to meet it. Any sort of effort while power lines are still down, while streets are still blocked, to try, I can't even in my brain fit, how do I make this look bad for Trump? I don't understand that existence. I don't understand wanting to use a tragedy like that as an opportunity to win a political point that makes me feel better in my comfortable, sheltered, air-conditioned life. And I'm not even saying that I think Donald Trump's done anything wrong. I think the pace of government is slow. I think the pace or the effectiveness of government is usually insufficient. And I think as long as you throw more money at it, it will just be, in a greater sense, more disappointingly inefficient. Just bigger disappointment. But huge commendations to people right now who have seen the need and have shown up, moved a branch, picked up some trash, showed up for our neighbors who are in need right now, because the solution to what makes America great will always be with the people. It will always be with you. It will never lie with the greatest, the biggest, the most powerful government in all the land. Folks, we created this country to avoid that. And we're still going strong. And it's amazing to see it happening in St. Louis right now. That's one of the reasons why we reached out to Congressman Wesley Bell, staunch Democrat, replaced Cori Bush in Congress after he primaried her. How much politics do Wesley Bell and I agree on? Maybe more than we know. And those conversations will be had at another time. But I wanted to invite him on because he represents those people. He's been to the area that was affected. And I wanted to give him a voice on the show because I think that's the right thing to do. Wesley Bell will be on our show at 1:25. Let's take a quick break. The YouTube live chat poll for today. How should the House GOP handle the big, beautiful bill? You got 4 options. The first one is pass Trump's bill. Donald Trump wants this thing to pass. He wants to get it done. He's ready to get it done. They should pass it. Do you want him to fight for SALT relief, that state and local tax relief? Do you want him to fight for more cuts? Scrap the whole thing. Those are your options. We need to know from you on the Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll. And when we come back, Senator Jim Talent, boy, are there a host of things to talk to the senator about when we come back. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
The Retirement Advisory Group, wonderful to meet with the fine folks at the Retirement Advisory Group and many of you last night for the Protecting Your Retirement educational event. And for those of you who couldn't make it, maybe the time wasn't right or you just weren't sure about making the drive to the Frontenac Hilton, call 314-993-9494 and schedule an appointment. Just you, them, sit down and discuss what you, where you are in life. I talked to several people last night who were 59 and a half. And they seemed very excited for that half birthday to have hit. You call 314-993-9494 and you schedule an appointment to discuss with them where you are, what your expectations are. Maybe you don't even know the answers to those questions, but you don't know where to start. And the answer is with the Retirement Advisory Group. You can go online to retirementkey.com and you can learn there about everything that Thomas Helbig and the Kershaws can do for you. But if you want to schedule that meeting directly with them, 314-993-9494. Online at retirementkey.com.
Your garage door is the largest piece of moving equipment in your home. When it needs help, call the experts at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Their certified technicians repair all brands of doors and openers, and you can even schedule evening and weekend service. Just call 314-781-5200 and always look for the red ribbon. It's your assurance you've got the genuine, the original overhead door. The most trusted garage door company in St. Louis since 1926. For same-day service, schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. 314-781-5200.
I met my wife in law school at the University of Florida. She was from upstate New York and I was from Kentucky. We met at a daily mass at St. Augustine's. She was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. After communion, I followed her out of the church and got her phone number. The rest is history. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Little did we know that one day we would have 4 children and the largest injury firm in the world. All 4 work in the business. It's a family business. Did I ever see this coming? Hell no. We just worked very hard and treated our clients like we would want to be treated, like family. It's a full-service injury firm: auto accidents, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, Social Security, and insurance disputes. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year. Visit forthepeople.com and we can get to work on your case. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in experience and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey guys, it's Mark Reardon. If you're struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain, Game Day Men's Health has got you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more in all of a relaxed man cave environment. At Game Day, you'll get a free testosterone test and consultation, all in just 1 hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get back in the game with Game Day Men's Health.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Did you ask President Putin to meet with you?
About what?
About Ukraine.
Yeah, of course I did. I talked to him about it. I said, when are we going to end this, Vladimir? I know him for a long time now. I said, when are we going to end this bloodshed, this bloodbath? It's a bloodbath. And I do believe he wants to end it. You know, when I made the call, I told the people last night, I spoke to the heads of the different countries, Germany and Finland. We had Italy, as you know, and UK was on the line today, and a couple of others. And then they were in turn calling everyone. Ursula was there from the European Union. She was terrific. And we spoke for a long time about it. And they got a problem. It's a big, big problem.
So President Trump speaking about what is taking place right now currently, conversations, a multi-hour phone call, as I recall, with Vladimir Putin. Trump continues to try to be the mediator to end this war. We want to get to the bottom of it with our guest, Senator Jim Talent, once again with us here. He's a former United States Senator from Missouri, as well as Congressman and Chairman of the Reagan Institute's National Leadership Council. Senator, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Annie. Always good to be on.
Well, I appreciate that. What do you make of Donald Trump's persistence with trying to mediate this Russia-Ukraine war, trying to reach it at an end? But it also seems as though he's never overextended what he's willing to do. He just consistently says this war needs to end, as he's called it a bloodbath there. Is he helping get this to a natural end between these two leaders?
Yes, I think he is. I think it's fair to say he is. I think there is a negotiation dance going on between two leaders who understand negotiation. So Trump wanted Putin to agree to a ceasefire before they sat down. And Putin understands that once there's a ceasefire, once the fighting starts, the logic of the negotiations cut in, and Putin probably can't start the war again. And his advantage in this is that he is currently gradually winning on the battlefield, albeit at great cost. So at the same time, so what Putin came back with was, okay, I will sit down, but first you have to agree basically to everything I want in negotiations. Trump refused to do that. So now what they're doing is they're going to be, at least I think there's going to be discussions between Putin and Zelensky, but without the ceasefire. So Putin didn't get what he wanted. We didn't agree to his conditions before talking. We didn't get what we wanted. He didn't agree to a ceasefire before talking. So there hasn't been any movement, in my opinion, either forward or backwards. And the dance continues.
Yeah. I can't imagine that. I know President Trump said, day one, I'll have this thing done. But these are not easy negotiations. And if you can't satisfy what either leader is demanding, then it could be a stalemate. President Trump goes to the Middle East last week, and there was a suggestion that maybe at the end that he could swing by, was it Turkey or something, to potentially meet with the leaders. That didn't end up materializing. But it's wild to me to know all of the different things that took place in the Middle East last week. And that just seems like that happened forever ago. He's such a busy man. What was your assessment of the president's trip to the Middle East?
We're doing an awful lot. Well, I've given him a very high grade on the Middle Eastern trip. I thought he had three objectives, and it seems very much like he got all of them. I mean, the stated objective, and probably the most important one, was to get investment in the United States. This is a core priority of President Trump, to rebuild the manufacturing base in the country, including the defense industrial base. And he got major commitments from all of the countries to do that. I think particularly significant is the Saudi commitment to buy, I think it's $160 billion from the American defense industry. Which also will net us closer to them, because when you buy defense products from a country, you need the spare parts, you need the know-how, et cetera. And then also the Qataris are buying 140 aircraft from Boeing, which Boeing certainly needs now. So that was a success. He talked with them about all the different issues in the Middle East. I think I won't go into detail, but Gaza, I think he was probably laying the basis for what I think is going to be necessary, which is attacking Iran's nuclear infrastructure. And then, of course, the Syria stuff was very high profile, and I liked what happened there. The Syrian government, we want it to be a conservative Sunni regime along the line of the Saudis or the UAE, not a radical Sunni regime. So we're offering them carrots, lifting sanctions, and then they have to commit, and I think have committed, to not militarizing the South, which would be a threat to Israel, not allowing Iran to resupply Hezbollah through Syria, and also not attacking the Kurds in the Northeast. So we'll see how all that works out. One other thing, not to go on too long, is the broader message Trump gave in his Saudi speech, which was, look, we don't want to interfere with your domestic policies, but we want the kind of connection that will prosper both countries. That's a direct response to the Chinese narrative, which is, we're not going to interfere in your domestic policies, but we're going to help you get rich, except the Chinese do it by sending in Chinese firms using Chinese employees and locking up resources and markets. So these countries would rather deal with the United States. And I think that was, I really like that. I think Trump is beginning to use the American narrative, in this case of prosperity and opportunity, to gain partners.
Yeah, he's been very consistent with that in his first term and his second term. The way he does foreign policy, it often has to do with investment, prosperity, maybe even a little capitalism here and there. Senator Jim Talent speaking with us right now. I wanted to ask you about the announcement yesterday, President Trump, along with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, announcing the construction of a Golden Dome, $25 billion in initial funding for the project, expecting it to cost upwards of $175 billion overall. It'll probably end up costing more than that. But they say that it is a next-generation game changer, protecting the American homeland from outside adversaries. Your thoughts when you heard this news?
Well, you're going to get another longish answer, but it's
okay.
a really important subject. I mean, he issued an executive order on this in late January. So clearly, I mean, like within a week of taking office. So clearly, this is a policy that he and his people had mapped out, when he was out of office. So the Golden Dome was called originally an Iron Dome for the United States. Now it's called the Golden Dome, a classic Trump name, isn't it?
Yeah, no kidding.
He might call one of his hotels that, Okay, so it's a system of systems. I'll get to that in just a second. That's designed to defend against all airborne threats, primarily missiles, but also, hypersonic glide platforms, drones, cruise missiles, as well as ballistic missiles. And it's designed to be able to shoot down those threats in all three of the phases: the launch phase when it's boosting, the inertial phase when it's outside the atmosphere and it's just traveling by inertia, and then also the reentry or terminal phase. To do that, you need a very sophisticated, as I said, a system of systems. You need very sophisticated sensors and detection systems. Most of that will be space-based. We're already building some satellite constellations to be able to do that. That has to be integrated in with systems of interceptors on the ground, in the air, and again in space. That's going to be a major challenge because we haven't done that in space yet. And that has to be integrated into command and control, which will be AI empowered. So it's a massive effort. I think the technology, a lot of the technology is available. I think it can be developed. They picked the right person, General Gutling, who's the vice chief of space operations in the Space Force. They're not going to get it done in 3 years. Again, very classic of Trump, but they could get initial capabilities that quickly if they do it right. And it would be really important. It's also going to be outside. It's going to include other allies, too. I mean, Trump's already talking about Canada. So, yes, it ought to be a priority. It's not going to be cheap. It's one of the reasons we need $1 trillion defense budget, to be frank.
Yeah. Does that include the Golden Dome? We kind of talked about this off air, kind of tongue in cheek, but realistically, Hawaii and Alaska.
Oh, sure.
Because Alaska,
in other words,
you can see Russia from Alaska. So.
Yeah, particularly Alaska's. We already have ground-based interceptors. This is similar in concept to what Reagan proposed. I mean, he wanted a system that would, again, be able to shoot down missiles in all three phases, although he was talking about ballistic missiles, mostly in the nuclear context. Well, things have changed since then. We have a number of missile defense systems. We have ground-based interceptors. We have THAAD. Now I'm challenged to come up with the words for that acronym. Mm-hmm. We have the Aegis, which is a sea-based system, and we have a Patriot, which is a theater system. But this is going to be vastly more sophisticated, and it should produce a lot of good spin-offs and technological changes. I mean, one thing that I think is very important in this, and when I do these advisory commissions, this is a constant message from me to the Department of Defense, is figure out what capabilities you need and tell the private sector that.
Yeah.
Don't tell them the technologies you think you need because you're handcuffing them. Let them tell you how they're going to give you the capabilities and be open to different kinds of thinking.
I think the kids would call that let them cook.
I'll use that in the future.
Yeah, next interview you do, the higher profile, the better. Just say, let them cook, and you will probably be viral. Real quick.
Probably come out. If I give them that slogan, we'll probably see it in the department. Hegseth will probably be talking about, we're going to let them cook.
Amen to that. I'm counting on you. You don't even have to cite it here. Just trust me, the kids are saying it.
He calls me every day. No, he doesn't.
Last question before we let you go.
Message through. Okay.
Senator Talent, you mentioned Space Force, and it just kind of spurred a question here right off the top of my head about that was an implementation of Donald Trump. People made fun of him because, of course, if Trump, people make fun of him for it. But when he implemented that, it was kind of a joke at first. How has Space Force done since its implementation?
Well, they had to, what the military calls stand it up, which is very difficult. In other words, you're starting a whole new force, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, which are part of the Navy, and now a Space Force, had to They had to pick a chief. They had to do all that stuff. I think given that, they've done pretty well. They've been focusing a lot on our satellite architecture, which obviously it's a space force, and made some pretty good fundamental decisions about what they want to do with that. So, the Biden administration, I don't like to be overly critical, but it wasn't very energetic about anything. But I don't think they took steps back during that process. So I think we're doing pretty well. Now, we did have a space command as part of the Air Force. The president's decision was we needed a separate service, which was a very reasonable decision. The other alternative was to really carve out its own enclave within the Air Force, like the nuclear Navy is within the Navy. It's part of the Navy, but it has its own procedures, its own separate promotion structure. But he wanted a separate force, and that's a very reasonable way of dealing with it. The Chinese did it a few years ago. They have their own. They took the rocket force and they blended it in with a new service that does not only their missiles but also their space.
Well, it's a lot of development, I'm sure, yet to go. But somebody commented on here, Senator, that if you say "let them cook" in an interview, people are going to think it's an AI interview. That's kind of funny. I can't wait to hear
exactly. They might, well, it's going to be a lot of AI interview. a lot of AI is going to be part of this Golden Dome. We have to stay ahead. America is ahead. If you look at the entirety of the economy, the commercial as well as governmental, we're ahead on AI, but we need to do a better job of adapting it to uses like this. It's a huge priority, of course, for the administration. We got to multitask. We got to walk and chew gum at the same time in order to meet all these threats. And the hour is late. I don't kid people. We're in an era of permanently heightened risk because of bad decisions that have been made in the past. But we're still the United States. We can come back quick.
Amen to that. Senator Talent, your time is precious to us. Thank you for being with us today. It's good to have you.
You're welcome as always.
All right, let's do it again. Take care. Bye-bye. Former United States Senator from Missouri, former Congressman, Chairman of the Reagan Institute's National Leadership Council, cooking on the Annie Fry Show.
Well, when he said that the Biden administration really just wasn't really enthusiastic about anything, I was thinking, were they just letting them cook? But that wasn't the appropriate usage of that phrase, in my personal opinion.
No.
Which is why I didn't say it.
The let them cook phrase in the Biden context could be taken differently.
You know what, though?
That's not what the kids mean.
They didn't let it cook concerning the border. They actively did that. They were really enthusiastic about some things, just not good things.
If Senator Talent is on some high-profile interview, and for the record, I don't really consider this to be a high-profile interview. We're grateful for his time. And he says, hand it over to those engineers and let them cook. I'll fall off my chair.
I've never heard kids say that before, so that's news to me,
You
too.
haven't heard
I've never
it?
heard kids say most things. I don't listen
true.
to kids much.
That's true.
I don't care for them.
I try hard to not listen to them, but they're always around me.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Ryan Wiggins' America is signs you cross the line from being frugal to being cheap. The amount of self-help that we go through in Wiggins' America is profound.
Constant. Well, we need it. Really? Don't we need it? You all need it.
We?
Yeah. You, Brad,
whatever,
everyone listening, except me.
You need to say, Ryan. Frugal to being cheap with Ryan Wiggins next. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Michael's Flooring Outlet, easy to find online. IGotFloored.com. There's so much you can do when it comes to starting that, or if you're in the middle of your flooring shopping, you know what you want. Now you're trying to find the best place to buy it. You have no idea what you want. You know the kind of look, the feel of the flooring you want to put into your home. You want to get rid of the old dingy carpet. You want to put new, beautiful hardwood floors in, but what kind of hardwood? How much maintenance is there? How long is it going to hold up? How careful do I need to be? I remember one time we were shopping for flooring, and they're like, if you put real hardwood in your house, you need to make sure you don't leave your windows open for a prolonged period of time. And I was like, what? I didn't know that. You need experts to help guide you through making sure that your investment is a smart one, is a quality one, you're getting a great product, and you're getting great value at the same time. Well, Michael's Flooring Outlet is happy to make that the case for you with your shopping experience. You can visit them in store in St. Charles County and West County and Darien Prairie. You can visit them online right now. Get an estimate, check out their reviews and all their products at igotfloor.com.
Do you ever wonder if you've saved enough money to retire? Well, you can find out how you can make your money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class. It's taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects. They have decades of financial planning experience, and they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You will learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing your Social Security income, paying for health care, all of it. And there's no cost. Just bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. Now, there are a handful of openings for the classes this month and next. Just register by calling 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012. It's the Sue Thomas number, 314-947-2012.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 39 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
And a lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, I'm usually much more active, but since I've been in pain, I've had to limit the activities I'm doing.
You're listening to Janelle, an arch support specialist at the Good Feet store.
So he came in and he wanted to be able to keep up play sports with his kids. And from there, we figure out which arch supports complement those activities. I fit him with the arch supports, and as I followed up with him, he's messaged me and said, I took my kids to the park today. We're walking, we're exercising, riding the bikes, and those are all things that he wasn't doing before because he was in pain.
For over 25 years, the Good Feet store's arch support specialists have been helping folks to live the life they love without foot, knee, hip, or back pain getting in the way.
Our goal is to have that long-term change for them. That's what's most important, is knowing that you leave an impact on someone's life. And I like that.
Try them for yourself. Stop in for a free personalized fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
The YouTube live chat poll today is about the big, beautiful bill. It's how should the House GOP handle the big, beautiful bill? Should they pass Trump's bill? Should they fight for SALT relief, state and local tax relief? Or should they fight for more cuts or scrap it entirely? Those are your 4 choices. Let us know where you stand on that scale. It is 12:47. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
And they're trying to make it seem now, oh, we had no idea. You got Jim Clyburn going on saying, I never saw Biden in a moment like that. Well, then you weren't looking. You weren't paying any attention to what was happening in the country.
Weekdays from 3 to 6. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Wiggins!
Oh, Wiggins!
What I like about you,
Wiggins.
Romantics.
What?
The Romantics.
That's the name of that band?
Yeah.
I don't know that I knew that.
Well, it's one of those songs. What year? Pin it down. Guess. What's your best guess?
I'll say 80.
Brad, you want to guess?
87.
$1. Ethan?
I'm going to go older. I'm going to go 67.
It's 77.
77.
So you guys are kind of circling around it. But, like, if I found out that song was from the 60s or the late 80s, it would be the same to me. Now, nobody's surprised because I know nothing about music, especially historically, but such a classic song. It's like existed in the same context in my life the entirety of my life because it's 7 years older than me.
There are certain songs that if they made them now, they'd still be hits. That's probably one of them. They always say Neil Diamond had
Sounds like maybe like a Bruno Mars could do something like What I Like About You.
Maybe.
Be kind of fun.
Man, the production changes, though. That kind of style of music just isn't made much anymore. It
just sounds like
pop.
real live music.
Yeah.
Band.
It's actual band music. Yeah.
Anywho.
Oh, yeah. We already played the intro. So I was waiting. I'm like, can you play it? There we go. All right. So these are signs that you are walking the line very close between being frugal and being cheap. And I want to let you know this because everybody's kind of had to tighten the belt the last few years. So everybody's gotten a taste of frugality.
Seems like people have been loosening the belt a little bit as well post-COVID, but go on.
A little bit.
Different context.
But these are ways that you don't want to cross over into being cheap. These are signs to look for. The first one, this one seems pretty obvious, that if you've gotten to the point where you think that it's more healthy to just steal things than to buy them,
Ryan,
then that's a sign that, you know what, you're probably getting kind of cheap.
What's your source?
This is moneyrates.com. Now, if you think
their first goal is to not be okay with theft,
well, if your thought goes to, yeah, I'm not going to just steal stuff from the grocery store.
is it like I'm at the hotel and I need towels, so I'm going to take them?
Well, that's kind of where we're going here, is that you could do little things like that. What about stealing your neighbor's Wi-Fi or watching pirated movies online or cheating on your taxes is on here? That one seems like a little bit different category.
Get a job, loser.
But any of these things would be stealing.
You're not personally attacked in any of this, are you?
Oh, God, no.
Are you a Wi-Fi stealer?
No. In high school, I was a movie stealer. All the time.
Oh, you don't even know. Have you ever heard of Napster?
Oh, yeah.
LimeWire?
No.
I remember Napster. There was another one, too, called Audio something that I used in college.
No, Audio Slave is a band.
It wasn't Audio Slave. You could download Audio Slave on Napster. But there was...
Do you know, like...
It was great.
Ethan, what do you know about Napster?
I know that it was a music playing service, but I guess I know there was a huge lawsuit at one point because it had to do with illegally downloading music. Is that right?
So when up until Napster existed, and maybe anything that came before it, that Napster was just the biggest, the only way that you could play music that was your own was to own a hard copy of something in some form. But due to the internet, which we all remember the genesis of, Napster became a place where you could go and just click a button and then have a song. And these songs were pirated. The bands, the production companies got nothing.
No money.
Nothing. You'd download a Napster song and you'd get a virus on your computer. You'd get half the song. It would be a terrible, but it was like,
stuff was mislabeled.
Yes.
You download stuff from a band, and you're like, that's not...
It's the Wild West.
Yeah, it was. And it was fun because it hit right when we were in college.
Yeah,
This is when you could make mixtape.
I mean,
but CDs.
Keep in mind, now streaming has changed everything because everything is available all the time. But you had to buy an album if you wanted to hear a couple songs. But Napster comes out, and you could just download those songs for free.
You were really only exposed to whatever the music industry decided was going to play on the radio, and then what the DJs decided that they were going to play for you. Then you'd love the song Ironic, and then you'd realize Jagged Little Pill is just an amazing collection. If you know, you know. My very first parental advisement, parental
advisory.
warning advisory, that started coming out right in the mid-'90s. I had that.
Wow. Did you know that she actually wrote that first song entirely about the cast of Full House?
Ironic?
Yeah. No.
What?
The original one. You Ought to Know. It was about the entire cast of Full House. I'm just kidding. It was about Dave Coulier, but everybody knows that, so I made it a joke.
Gosh, jokes are funny.
They are, aren't they? We're having fun, aren't we?
Well,
we're all friends.
My deep cut, you went and mined all the way down to figure out where has no man been before? I'll go here and tell this joke. Go on. Tell us
found
more
the
about
territory where the Chilean miners were.
Get back to the substance of the conversation, which is where you tell us not to steal things.
Stop stealing stuff, you
Okay,
guys. Stop
yeah.
stealing music from Napster.
Poor record labels.
I wish I could just for old times.
Hey, man, poor record labels is real now.
It's real now.
That's
Yeah,
very,
it
That's
is.
very real. How about pressuring people for freebies? So you may have a friend who's an accountant or who works at Panda Express, but expecting that person to review your taxes or give you free orange
how
chicken.
not to be a bum.
It kind of is. It kind of is. Expecting some sort of specialized treatment from that person is your sign that you have entered into cheapness.
What age do we need? What age can you no longer get away with being a bum?
Ooh, I think once
I
you
got
get
an
into
age
your
in my
30s.
mind. Oh, I was going to say 24.
Oh, yikes.
Okay.
You should have a college degree or an otherwise chosen method of self-preservation.
I guess it depends if you're charming.
No.
I'm
No. Ethan, do not listen to him.
Oh.
Not life advice.
Don't listen to Ryan.
You got a few years of being cheap. You're fine.
Okay. All right. Good.
So I'm trying to look out for you.
Yeah, you're for the first time ever.
So don't pressure your friends for
I'd
freebies. Unless it's,
put stock in
just
that.
sleeping on the couch. Are you cool with people sleeping on your couch still? Are you like in that era? If your friend is in town, you're like, hey, can I just crash?
Well,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
not-
fine with
that's
that.
not
We actually,
bumming.
I have a spare bedroom.
Ooh.
So,
Oh, you're at that level.
Yeah.
Wow.
Would you let Ryan stay at your house?
depends on the reason.
Depends on what you got.
If
out
I
of
was in Missouri and I was like, gosh, I don't want to go back home.
it. So far.
It's so far. Plus, I know a guy over here.
No comment.
I don't know how this one really applies.
Did you
but
read this article before you read it to the
absolutely,
public?
and that's why I chose this one because I'm going for the most extreme examples. Hoarding. If you can't bear to part with broken items because they might be useful someday, you might be cheap.
Our generation does not know this. The greatest generation did this because they lived through the Great Depression and they understand what it's like to literally not be able to get or to have or to preserve. Our generation, Gen X as well, and the boomers have one toe in it at least, understand great convenience, fast fashion, things that come in and go out as fast as they can. We have so much junk. We have so much stuff. I don't think people are hoarding. I think we even make things. Like technology is meant to be dispensed.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad.
Yeah, I've noticed this in my kids, and something I never would have done as a kid, that they get toys and they almost treat them as if they're disposable.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've played with that a couple times.
Exactly.
I'm done with that.
Yeah.
And I can't really fight the logic. I understand you don't want to play with that thing anymore because it's outlived its usefulness. And so let's throw it away. So I'm trying to learn to do that. But I still have the old mindset where I'm like, no, but it's still a thing. It's totally functional.
Yep.
Not valuing your time. Being cheap can save you money, but it could cost you time.
Amen.
Yeah.
You pointed at me.
Yeah, I pay myself an hourly rate whenever I make a decision on whether I'm going to do something or I'm going to pay somebody to do something, and I have a ratio. If I get to a certain ratio, it's worth it to pay somebody to do it so that I can have my time for my stuff.
Brad wisdom.
Same thing last night. My daughter, my oldest daughter, she still has a little bit of school left just to the end of the week. My son is off, so we're kind of in this limbo of bedtimes. I'm throwing them out the window. My husband has,
we are too.
has a little bit of a disagreement
It's
with
kind
that.
of a fun week.
But exactly, when it comes to time, last night I told my daughter, you should totally watch How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And we started watching it in the free thing, but it had commercials, and we went into the first commercial break, and I'm like, we can save like 15 minutes of time by not watching commercials, so I went and bought it.
Good for you.
Oh, that's perfect.
$9.
Yes, it is.
15 minutes of time. Earlier bedtime for my daughter, and I hate watching commercials.
Skip the line at theme parks. Very much worth it.
Yeah.
Because, yes, time is money. How about not paying your fair share? This seems pretty obvious, but do you conveniently forget to have cash when you go out with your friends? Do you ask them to cover your portion?
What decade is it?
I know.
I know. I don't. This is stuff you do when you're
so
16.
Who
humiliated
uses cash
to be like, hey, I don't have any cash on me. Can you help a sister out? Like, there are places that don't even take cash. You forgot your wallet. You forgot your credit card. If you did, you don't eat.
You Venmo each other if there's some sort of group purchase.
Thank you. Well said.
It's easy to do now.
I just can't express my gratitude for how much more information I have now.
Well, there are people
Then at
out there right
12:47.
now who are really concerned that
Bless
they were
you, Ryan
becoming
Wiggins.
cheap.
Bless you.
Let's talk to Deroy Murdock and Congressman Wesley Bell in the next hour. RulerFoods.com. They are saluting veterans this Memorial Day, and I want to invite you to be a part of this. Veterans are getting an additional 10% off in-store purchases on Memorial Day. So if you are going to a barbecue, if you're looking to get some snacks to have by the pool on Memorial Day, as you spend that day remembering those people who have given everything for the protection of our freedom, Ruler Foods wants to honor those folks. So I want to make sure that you know on Ruler Foods on Memorial Day, you can save an extra 10% off in-store purchases on that day, excluding alcohol, tobacco products, and gift cards. Reach out to the website at rulerfoods.com, and you can see what is closest to you, maybe where you're headed that weekend on Monday, and make sure that you can save. You can also have savings delivered directly to your door. Did you know that you can go to rulerfoods.com and all of those savings, those name brands you love, the Kroger brands at Ruler Foods prices, you can schedule that delivery directly from their website, rulerfoods.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
A genocide debate at the White House. Lisa Brady, Fox News. After cutting aid to South Africa and allowing refugee status for white minority farmers, President Trump pressing the South African president about claims of persecution in person during an Oval Office meeting.
The South African president came here to say there is no genocide happening in South Africa. President Trump basically said, okay, well, then what's all of this? And he showed political leaders and opposition leaders in South Africa saying some very heinous and violent things for several minutes. And he just made the South African president and the rest of the South African delegation sit there in the half-dark room and watch it.
Fox's Peter Ducey at the White House. The South African delegation, including retired champion golfers and a businessman, saying there's too much violence in general, not just targeting white farmers. President Cyril Ramaphosa says he's at the White House for a reset of U.S. relations. The Pentagon accepts a luxury Boeing 747 as a gift from Qatar, planning to make security upgrades and use it as Air Force One while Boeing works to finish new jets. Critics are raising concern about the constitutional clause on foreign gifts. House Speaker Mike Johnson not ruling out a House vote today on a tax cut and spending package, including many of the president's priorities. But House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries calls it a scam, giving tax breaks to the rich while cutting health care and nutritional assistance.
We will never support any Republican effort to rip away health care from the American people.
Republicans say it would protect Medicaid for people who need it most.
The vulnerable Americans are on wait lists because we've got a broken system that rewards the able-bodied over the vulnerable, that gives more money to people on Medicaid than on Medicare. We are trying to fix those things and match those so we have a system that works.
The Texas Congressman Chip Roy and other members of the Conservative Freedom Caucus still have differences to iron out. America is listening to Fox News.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
The northwest flow is back, 60s to near 70 this afternoon, partly to mostly sunny skies. Clear, cool, windy during the evening, then the winds fade, 52. Thursday, sunny, breezy, 68, 49 Thursday night. Friday, sunny and 69. And then, yes, unsettled weather back late Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, though it will not be raining all the time. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
CiviaLaw.com. Folks, you need to make this phone call, 833-995-WILL right now, because 10 people who call 833-995-WILL right now after I get done talking to you about Civia Law and Todd Civia in Missouri and Illinois, the first 10 people to make that phone call will be able to book a free strategy session of a $300 value. You're going to be able to sit down and have that conversation about making sure that your estate plan is airtight, that all of the things that you've wanted to navigate, it's complicated. I know not many people walk in and have a clear cut, this is everything, and, you know, we've got these heirs or whatever, and it's just boom, done. There's usually some family complications. A lot of times there's real estate involved in the situation. You need to make sure that you've got people to be your power of attorney, people who are going to understand how to help you in a situation that involves your health, people who are going to help manage your finances. You don't know what you don't know, and you've put it off because it's too big of a burden to bear. Todd Civia will walk you through the whole thing, and you will feel so much peace of mind after the fact. Call and schedule your free strategy session if you're one of the first 10 to call at 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL in Missouri and Illinois, online at CiviaLaw.com.
If it's time for new windows, there's only one place to call. That is Window World. Mark Cox here. Call my friends at Window World at 314-993-1800 for your free estimate today. If you have any questions, they'll be glad to send someone out to explain all of it to you. You can even schedule right online at windowworldstl.com. You know, there's a lot of high-interest financing out there, but here's what Window World's doing. Right now, they're offering 18 up to 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. You can't beat that. You also get a lifetime warranty that covers all of the parts, the glass breakage, and labor. Who else stands behind their product like that? Over half the appointments Window World will set this year are from previous customers or referrals from those customers. That is a testimony to their customer service, their quality, and their commitment to creating loyal customers. That's what you get with Window World. Call them at 314-993-1800, windowworldstl.com.
What does Del Walmsley, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, think you need to succeed in this market?
It's time to buy, and so you better get prepared, you better get educated, you better get your money right. You need to get involved because you're going to need the financing. You're going to need the vendors that we have available to us. You're just going to need the interaction with people. You need to immerse yourself into real estate.
Start your real estate immersion with a free workshop live online at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsLHonorFlight.org. And for HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio. I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Why are our Democrat colleagues so determined to flood our country with millions of illegal aliens? And I'd like to suggest that perhaps it's because they benefit from it politically. Remember that every state is apportioned congressional seats based on population, not based on citizenship. Counting non-citizens in congressional apportionment has resulted in more seats for blue states and fewer congressional seats for red states.
That's the discussion being had right now when we look at the amount of people who have come into this country and done so illegally, specifically under the Joe Biden presidency. That when you understand how those seats are apportioned, it does make a difference. And it does, the resources get apportioned, and you've got congressional seats. That's power and influence, and it matters. One of the main reasons why the president continues to work to make sure that the people who are here in our country are the ones who are supposed to be here in our country. That was Congressman Brandon Gill of Texas. Now, we watched, I'm going to play for this a little bit later in the show for you if we can get to it. Marco Rubio, as a Secretary of State, was at a hearing, and he was being questioned by his former colleagues in the Senate, and people questioning a lot of what the Trump administration specifically has done, and how Marco Rubio at the Secretary of State, doing an A-plus job, in my opinion, has done to make sure that we could get illegal immigrants out of this country. Now we're bringing South African refugees into this country. It seems very complicated for the Democrats specifically, and we need to make sure that we are protecting our country. That's always been the commitment of the Trump administration, and making sure that the people here are the ones who belong here. Let's talk to our friend Deroy Murdock about it. He joins us again, nationally syndicated columnist, Project 21 ambassador, and Fox News contributor. Deroy, welcome back. Good to have you.
Great to be with you again, Annie.
Thank you. How do you feel about, I would say, you look at what the Trump administration, or the Trump campaign, I should say, promised that they would do, and 121 days into the presidency, what they've been able to execute so far in parsing the people who belong here versus the people who don't belong here. I think they've made an enormous amount of progress. The American people are in favor of it, but the Democrats, especially elected Democrats, they sure don't seem like they are yet.
No, they haven't. No, they're not. I think that President Trump and the Trump administration have done a phenomenal job of closing the border. It took about 3 weeks, maybe not a month max, to bring the number of people coming across the border down by, I think, 96, 97% in terms of just overall crossings, and in terms of people who are the known gotaways. I think those are down like 99%. Those are people where they see them at a distance, but they're not sure who they are. That number's down to almost nothing. And I think that happened very quickly. I think, frankly, more quickly, I think even Trump's most enthusiastic supporters expected. And this says to me that if Joe Biden had spent, 2 or 3 minutes exercising a little bit of leadership in this area, he could have shut the border down too, which tells me he had no interest in doing so. And the whole policy of letting 10 million people march in here illegally was not an accident or a matter of incompetence or mismanagement, but an actual matter of deliberate policy. So I think that that's been exposed, and it goes to show the tremendous level of destruction that the Biden administration, the Democrats, perpetrated on this country for 4 years.
Deroy, a lot has been made of President Biden's mental state, his health, of course, diagnosed this weekend, at least publicly, with prostate cancer. And everybody is asking the question right now, either out loud or internally, a lot of politics involved in how publicly they might be willing to say it, wondering what he knew and what he was involved in and what he wasn't involved in. And you got to take the issue of, like, the border and the way he would be so confident in telling the American people that they were having great success at the border, that they were that the border was closed, knowing how incredibly wrong that was. What do you want to know about President Biden's presidency, his mental health, his participation in those years? What answers would you like to have?
Well, I'd like to know, to what degree was he actually involved in making any decisions? I mean, I've always said that we shouldn't let Biden off the hook and say, look, he was just tied up in the basement while Dr. Jill Biden or Susan Rice or somebody else really ran the country. I think Biden was aware of probably the big stuff, but a lot of small things probably went right by. And who knows, towards the end, he might not have been aware of the big stuff going on either. I'm also curious to know about this whole business of prostate cancer. We're led to believe that the last time he had his PSA taken, prostate-specific antigen, which is a test to see whether or not you have prostate cancer, was 2014. That was 11 years ago. Now, I would think if every time he went to the Walter Reed for his annual physical, whether he asked for a PSA or not, they would just automatically order that along with cholesterol and potassium and every other kind of thing you're tested for. Most men I know, and if they're not doing it now, they should, above age 45, asking for a PSA should be part of your regular physical exam every year. And I can't imagine the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Armed Forces, was not getting a PSA done automatically, and that he's not had one for 11 years. So either he's had cancer and we weren't told about it, or if in fact they let this thing slide for 11 years and only tested now, and it's now metastasized into his bones, metastatic prostate cancer, my God, then this is probably the greatest act of medical malpractice since Michael Jackson's doctor gave him propofol, decided to go play golf, and then came back and found his patient dead.
Deroy Murdock speaking with us right now. In light of the cancer diagnosis that we heard Saturday last week, we have heard all about Jake Tapper's new book. And I always find it ironic when you've got a news anchor saying, like, you have to check out the book to find out what the news story is. Like, oh, you're a news anchor. You could just tell us right here. But I guess he's selling something. Is Jake Tapper done harm to his person as a journalist, as somebody that however many people still trust him, in how he covered the Biden presidency and how he's reacting to it right now?
Yeah, I think terrible harm. I mean, look, this is not some journalist who stumbled upon a secret cache of documents or found some videotapes that were in a closet that somehow he's discovered and watched for the first time. Jake Tapper was an anchor at CNN. He was, I believe, a CNN correspondent at the White House for several years under Joe Biden. This is the kind of guy whose job is to have sources in the West Wing, in the East Wing of the First Lady's office, talk to current and past staffers, people on the Hill who know Joe Biden. And at some point, he should have been well aware that this sort of stuff was going on. He, in fact, Republicans, like I remember famously Laura Trump went on and said, look, it looks like Joe Biden is cognitively deficient. And he mocked her and said, you're not a psychologist. How can you know that? How dare you? And basically cut her off and said, all right, let's go to commercial when she raised these kind of questions. So Jake Tapper is now acting as if he suddenly made this huge discovery, found some classified documents or something. This was something of which I think 80% of the American people, I believe, back in June of last year, said they were electing to vote for Biden because they thought he was not cognitively capable. Jake Tapper should have seen that too. I mean, if nothing, and that was a CNN survey, by the way. I mean, if Jake Tapper just read the survey his own news organization did, he would have said, gee, I wonder why the American people, 80%, if I remember the number correctly, think that Joe Biden is cognitively weak. Maybe I ought to look into this, ask him questions. And instead, he clammed up. He fought back when people raised that question. And now he has this book where he's acting like he's just found this great new revelation. And something was obvious to people, even when Joe Biden was running for president against incumbent President Donald J. Trump back in 2020, 4.5 years ago.
Yeah, it's so true. We'll see how this all shakes out. It's hard to encourage people to read that book and purchase it and find out and like subsidize this type of journalistic malpractice. But I guess we'll see how it goes. Deroy, we always appreciate having you. Thank you for being with us today. It's good to talk to you.
Annie, great to be with you, and good luck to the folks who suffered from that tornado in your neighborhood yesterday.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We need a lot of prayers, and we will take yours for sure.
Absolutely.
Take
Very
care.
good.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Speaking of the tornadoes, Congressman Wesley Bell is going to be with us next. I'm excited to have him on the show.
Yeah, I am too. He has been a public figure in St. Louis for a very long time.
Right. I'm just like full transparency to everybody who's listening right now. I was like certain that they were going to call the vote on the big beautiful bill at 1:25 today, because then he would have to go vote. There's a little bit of time that they get to go vote, but I don't think he's going to prioritize being on this show because everything is razor thin. This is crazy, but a Democrat rep died of cancer this morning.
Oh, no kidding! I hadn't heard that.
Yes, I can't remember the name.
A federal rep,
yes.
Like in the U.S. House. Wow.
The majority now goes, I think it's 8 seats. But they can only if they lose 4 votes, it ends in a tie, which is not enough. I just can't imagine the stress of doing what they have to do in Congress, and with the margins being that small. Like, I think about this is how I was talking about the other day about watching a Major League Baseball player struggle, and I'm like just thinking about their mom.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a congressman, congresswoman, congressperson, male or female, Democrat or Republican, and they're suffering from cancer, and the majority is this big, or the minority is that little. That's a very difficult thing to think about. That people would be like thinking about that, the quantity of somebody's life who is probably, I don't know this person's life, but I'm sure they had family. I'm sure they had friends and connections, and it's a very obviously sad thing to lose. But to have it boil down to like, we needed that vote, because that's not going to be replaced soon. Before we get to Congressman Bell, but I was going to say, in full disclosure, when we have him on, I said my invitation to Congressman Bell to come on the show was, I want to have you on the show. Your district was struck by, we're sitting in your district. Your district was struck by this tornado. There's great damage. Attention needs to be drawn to it. I'm not going to have a St. Charles rep or an Illinois rep come on to talk about the damage in Congressman Bell's district unless he told me no. Then I would go do something else. And, Brad can testify to this. We asked, how many times did we reach out to Cori Bush? She wouldn't even respond.
I don't know.
They basically were like, stop contacting us.
Yeah.
And I've never done anything to Cori Bush. There's no reason why she shouldn't come here and talk to you, because many of you are the constituents of that district. I got a contact for Congressman Bell. I reached out to him and I said, I just want to talk to you about the tornadoes. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. I want to give you an opportunity to speak to our listeners who are your constituents and connect and have a productive conversation. And I told him, I was like, I don't do gotcha interviews. I'm not a shock value person here. If we open the phones and someone wants to call in and call me a POS, let's go. But barring that, I love people calling in who are not in full agreement with us, because I appreciate that we can have that community. So having Congressman Bell on here, and also when I was talking to his people, I told him, we're just going to talk about the tornado. There's a ton of huge news happening in Congress. I want to talk to him about those things. And they said, we should come back and do that. So I'm hoping that this is a start of a conversation that can happen here between us and Congressman Bell. But when he comes back, I'm going to talk to him about what is taking place in St. Louis, what he's seen, because he's been here and he's been in the place where the tornado happened. And I'm going to ask him about what we need to know. What do the people need to know? If I open the show talking about the whole tornado situation here in St. Louis, and these tornadoes went on and devastated Kentucky, southern Kentucky. I think the highest rating of the tornado here was it started as an F3, maybe in the Clayton area. The Kentucky tornadoes, I heard this morning, were an F4, which is one shy of the biggest it can get. Joplin was an F5. But an F3 tornado is a serious situation, and we know that people here in our neighbors, our people, you folks need help from your neighbors here. And I think Congressman Wesley Bell is an important voice to bring onto the show and have that discussion. So we will. Are you sticking around for that?
Yeah.
You can go get lunch.
Well, I mean,
I say that.
Chili dog sounds okay.
People get some popcorn and sit right next to me.
Real low in the camera shot, though.
And he's also I'm going to let y'all know he's going to be on Zoom with us. My understanding is he's going to be on the live stream with us, so you can watch it too. Annie Fry YouTube channel. I'd like to know from you, how should the House GOP handle the big beautiful bill? Should they pass Trump's bill? Should they fight for SALT relief? Should they fight for more cuts? Or should they scrap the whole thing? You can let us know it by going to the Annie Fry YouTube channel, where if you do sign in there, subscribe. If you want to comment and you're a new subscriber, you got to wait 5 minutes, and then you will be able to chat your heart to your heart's content, as long as you're nice and respectful. But you can vote in the poll right away. And I will be very interested to see what percentage of you folks just want the Trump thing to get done. How many of you are looking at it through a fine-tooth, or pulling through it with a fine-tooth comb to get more in one way or shape or form? Annie Fry YouTube channel. Congressman Wesley Bell, representative from Missouri's 1st District, right here in St. Louis, on the Annie Fry Show next.
I don't want no scrub. A scrub is a guy that can't get no love from me. Hanging out the passenger side of his best friend's ride, trying to holler at me. Checking me, but his game is kinda weak, and I know that he cannot approach me. 'Cause I'm looking like glass and he's looking like trash. Can't get with a deadbeat.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
STS-armory.com. If you want to lawfully and responsibly carry in the state of Illinois, Illinois has some rules that you need to abide by, of course. You can go to STS Armory and start that process to where you know how to do it. You have taken the classes that they teach there. I did my conceal and carry renewal at STS Armory. And you can also take classes that help you feel comfortable and in charge of that big responsibility of carrying a firearm. STS Armory has everything you need when it comes to classes, safety classes, instructor classes, ladies only classes. Let's say you're not looking for a firearm, but you want to carry pepper spray. Maybe you work late nights or you're traveling on your own and you need to know how to defend yourself. STS Armory is there to help you. This is folks, wonderful graduation gift, I might add. Father's Day is coming up. You might be looking to get some gift cards or something for Father's Day. STS Armory will hit the mark with Dad for that in June. But for graduation, pepper spray, some things that you can keep on you if you're going to go away to school and you need to have self-protection, maybe not to the firearm extent, but the smaller things that can keep your daughter safe, son as well. STS Armory will help you out. You can find them in Pontoon Beach at their brand new location. You can call them at 618-931-GUNS, 618-931-GUNS. You find them online at sts-armory.com.
Need a lawyer? Onder wins. Call Onder Law at 314-9-MILLION. That's 314-9 all zeros. Or go to onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you're looking for the best eye care in St. Louis, look no further than the doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andrew Royer. Make your appointment today at youridoc.com or call 314-966-5000. Ophthalmology Associates.
When's the last time you gave your home's exterior a little love? Hi, it's Kim, and if your siding is cracking, it's fading, or just doesn't stand up to our St. Louis weather, it's time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design because they're experts in James Hardy siding, which is this durable, low-maintenance option, and it looks beautiful. Plus, you have customizable colors and textures, and so you can give your home a completely new look while protecting it for decades. Don't wait until the small problems turn into big ones. Visit lakesidearty.com to schedule your free consultation.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. Call 314-499-2020. That's 499-2020 or GeneratorSuperCenterofStLouis.com. That's GeneratorSuperCenterofStLouis.com.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Retirement statements just hit mailboxes, and for many, the shock is real. Some investors lost 20% or more in just the first quarter. If you're close to retirement, that's more than a dip. It's a danger. But here's what most advisors won't tell you. Gold was up over 30% during the same time. That's a 60% swing. And in retirement, that kind of gap can change everything. So compare your Q1 statement to gold's performance. Then call Noble Gold Investments. Noble Gold specializes in helping people protect what they've earned with real assets like gold and silver. If you're tired of watching your nest egg shrink, it may be time for a change. And right now, when you open a qualified account, you'll receive a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar. Compare and call 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. Or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I
I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're gonna be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TRADE25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TRADE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TRADE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code TRADE25.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Cardinals fans, there are more ways this season to watch your Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Network. For the first time, you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals without blackouts. Monthly, seasonal, and annual packages available. Also new this season, you can stream FanDuel Sports Network through Amazon Prime Video with an add-on subscription. As always, you can watch FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Cardinals.com/TV to learn more.
It's not too late for a deep spring cleaning on your home. Give my friends at Zerorez a call today. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning package. Visit ZerorezSL.com and tell me what the Mark Reardon special, or call 314-474-2020.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Time to schedule your air conditioner service. Get your entire HVAC system checked for $19 a month with the preferred partner plan and be ready for the first heat wave. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Take a seat right over there, sat on the stairs, stay or leave. The cabinets are bare and I'm unaware of just how we got into this mess. Got so aggressive. I know we meant all good intentions. So pull me closer. Why don't you pull me close? Why don't you come on over? I can't just let you go. Oh, baby.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Missouri seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House out of order.
Without objection.
On Friday, May 16th, deadly tornadoes ripped across the heart of our country, leaving a path of destruction through Missouri, Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, and Virginia. Dozens of lives were lost, families shattered, entire neighborhoods reduced to debris. In Missouri, we are grieving, and we know families in Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, and Virginia are as well, facing unimaginable loss and the hard days ahead. Families who just days ago were living their everyday lives are now grieving loved ones, searching for the missing, and trying to put the pieces back together.
The voice you hear is Congressman Wesley Bell of Missouri's 1st District right here in St. Louis, and we are very honored to have him join us today on the Annie Fry Show to talk about the devastation that has occurred in St. Louis. And as he mentioned there, from the House floor to honor those lives that were lost and the people who are struggling here in the aftermath of those tornadoes. Congressman Bell, thank you so much for the time today to come on the show to talk about this very important topic.
Thanks for having me. And I do want to express how deeply saddened we are at the loss of our colleague, Congressman Jerry Connolly. He was a dedicated public servant and a kind man, and I just wanted to make certain I send my prayers out to him and his family.
I think that's a very important message to deliver, and we share in those sentiments with you, with all of those who knew him and his family as well. It's a very difficult time, and we appreciate you highlighting that. Congressman Bell, I want to give you the opportunity to talk about your experience. My understanding is that you traveled to St. Louis, that you've been able to be in the devastation that took place, specifically North City. You probably know our location here is right downtown St. Louis, and when this was taking place on Friday, it was very close to where we are, as is North City. The devastation is pretty significant.
It really is. It's bad. And, a few weeks ago, I returned from a congressional delegation trip to the Middle East. So when I say it in certain areas, particularly in North St. Louis, it looks like a war zone. That's not hyperbole. It's not exaggeration. Over 5,000 buildings damaged, a projected $1.6 billion in damage to in this region. And so we're talking schools, churches, entire neighborhoods decimated. And so we got a lot of work to do, and we're ready to roll our sleeves up and get to work.
I appreciate your first person experience of seeing what's going on there. $1.6 billion is not really devastation that you can imagine without seeing it firsthand, Congressman. I've listened to a few other interviews that you've done, and you've talked a lot about the people who are on the ground right now, the different organizations that are here in St. Louis reacting to this moment. How do you feel about the spirit of St. Louis right now in this recovery effort?
Like I've said, St. Louis is showing up and showing out, showing what makes St. Louis, and we are a close-knit city. We care about one another, and you're seeing it everywhere you go. People are just trying to figure out how they can help and donate, and we've got people out cooking to give folks food and clothes, and organizations like Annie Malone, organizations like the Urban League, and just so many others, Verizon. I mean, just so many organizations that are stepping up to the plate, from Anheuser-Busch to Ameren. And so, but the thing is, that's exactly what it's going to take. It's going to take a Herculean effort. We're going to have to come together, and that's the way we're going to not only clean up, but build up our region.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Congressman, you of course are a Democrat. I've talked with you people. I'm a conservative myself. You said on your moment of silence and when you spoke on the House floor that we've got to set aside any sort of divisions we have right now. We don't have time for that. We've got to come together. We're stronger together. Are you seeing that right now in this moment, being apolitical, get to the problem and offer a solution?
I think on the ground, particularly with our leaders in Missouri, yes. I've spoken several times with the governor. The governor has been on the ground, and I thank him for that, and I thanked him privately as well. I've talked to other of my colleagues who are fully on board with making certain that we get the resources that we need. And so that the governor, that the process is such that the governor makes that disaster declaration, and then and then the president needs to sign that declaration to open up those federal funds. And we have a coalition of Democrats and Republicans, and so we are very encouraged, and we're praying that the administration does the right thing for this region so that we can rebuild this region. But it's not just about us doing it alone. I think we have to do it together, and we shouldn't have to do it alone.
You've mentioned some organizations like the Annie Malone and Urban League. I know that at the radio stations here, with all the sister stations at Odyssey St. Louis, we're working on partnering with, I think Backstoppers is going to be doing a drive here. There's a whole bunch of little efforts that are taking place in St. Louis where everyone's rising up, and you can see everybody on the edge of their seat. They just want to help. They want to be a part of making somebody's day brighter. Do you have any guidance for folks listening right now in the St. Louis area? And we extend, far and wide, Illinois and Missouri alike. Any guidance on how people should vet where they go with their time or their treasure right now to be helpful?
But and I think to answer that question, I think it's important for folks to understand the context and the process. There is a disaster assessment going on right now. We do not know the full extent of the damage, and we want to make certain that folks are careful because there may still be down power lines, there are still unstable buildings, and we don't want someone getting hurt because they have the right intentions. So we do have to make certain everything is buildings are stable and things of that nature. But we're going to have to focus on that cleanup piece, if you will, once it's safe to do so. And we need to make sure that folks have the basics that they need. We have residents who are displaced in one of probably the most underserved area in our region. So food, water, clothing, those basics. And then as we get those areas stabilized, then we can go in and start expanding those efforts to get them all of those resources and things that they need as we're simultaneously working to secure resources. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I am going to try and do everything that I can, working with our partners to secure every federal dollar possible for this region, whether it be FEMA, whether it be grants, whether it be changing couch cushions that we find. We have to bring every resource to bear because we got a lot of folks who are hurting and who need help.
Yeah, amen. They are our neighbors right now, and we do need to show up to help them. There are a lot of people who show up in an instance like this, like you're talking about down power lines and stuff. There is a very specific set of skills that's needed to navigate all of this. What do you say about those workers, probably Ameren workers, power workers, first responders, law enforcement that's been able to show up and secure this area to make sure that cleanup can happen?
And they don't get mentioned enough. Our first responders, our utility workers are working round the clock in some dangerous situations in some cases. And so it's important that's another reason we have to allow them the space to do their work. So if you can avoid those areas, please do, if you can, because those folks are working and they're working hard. So we got to absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. And then also, hey, I'm a man of faith. So we're gonna send our prayers out as well. We're gonna send the work out. We're gonna do the work. We're gonna try to secure every resource, but we're also gonna send our prayers out for everyone who's impacted. We lost approximately about 5 or 6 people confirmed, but countless families that are really struggling right now, and they're going to need our help. They're going to need us to show why St. Louis is St. Louis.
Amen to that. And Congressman Bell, on the important things, as a woman of faith myself, we line up perfectly. Thank you so much for the time today. I appreciate it. You have our prayers as you lead that effort to make sure that we show up, and we will do our part here on the radio to keep the spotlight on it, to make the neighborhood show up, the community show up, and give the support that is needed. It's a pleasure to have you on the show with us, Congressman. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Really appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye. Congressman Wesley Bell, representative of Missouri's 1st District. You can follow him on X. He's in our show tweet for today, at Annie Fry Show. Very good to have him on the show, and appreciate the sentiments there. I didn't want to inject this into that conversation because I told him I wouldn't make it political. This wouldn't have made it political, but it would have been heard that way. But Josh Hawley is saying a lot of the same things that Wesley Bell is saying.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
And Josh Hawley is specifically not going after, but putting on notice insurance companies.
Yeah, like look at California.
And saying, don't you dare jack around with this.
In California, I just saw that there's a proposed 17% home insurance hike. I think, I'm not going to say a company because I don't want to be wrong if I say the wrong one, but that's on top of the insurance hikes that they've already implemented on people for their houses burning down.
I mean, thank God we're not California, because they're in a bad situation with their insurance anyway.
Just on the whole. But having a bulldog like Josh Hawley, having Congressman Wesley Bell show up, and in my opinion, like I said, politics aside, the things that matter here, it seems as though we are aligned in simpatico. And ladies and gentlemen, from the political conservative side of the aisle, the fiscally conservative side of the aisle. Let me remind you that when we say we are fiscal conservatives, we say we don't want the government to take our money from us and then take our money from us and then take our money from us. And then when an emergency happens, they show up and they allocate what they think is right. And it's usually not enough. It doesn't restore the region to the way it was. What we say is, it's not as though the problem doesn't exist. Conservatives might push back against government spending. The responsibility to work on the problem exists. Conservatives just say it's our responsibility, that we can't just abdicate all responsibility in a matter like this and just say, well, the government will take care of it. That's so lazy. It's ineffective and lazy, and it costs us a lot of money. But if you want to be a fiscal conservative and you want to do it in practice, when your neighbor is in in need like this, you have to figure out a way to show up and contribute. If you want to, if we want to, lower costs at the government level, when you see church communities, faith communities, just neighborhood organizations that might not be a faith-based organization, when you see them go into action in a moment like this, it's magical. It's inspiring. And this type of stuff happens all of the time, and those people don't get the real credit. And then the whole conversation becomes a Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Doge conversation. And meanwhile, while everybody's over here fighting about good, bad, whatever politics, there are still people in North City and St. Louis that are homeless, mealless, and in need of help. You got to lock in, folks, and you got to make sure that you understand that the idea of fiscal conservative means that you don't want to release all of your own responsibility to be of service to your neighbor in their time of need, and that time of need is right now. We have to show up long before the government shows up. That is our responsibility as fiscal conservatives. And I know A+, number one, that the 97.1 audience is the best at it. You guys never fail to meet the mark. And that's why we wanted to have Congressman Bell on, because I think, from what I've heard, he's right there with us on this issue, and I think that counts. Let's take a quick break. We'll discuss the YouTube live chat poll when we come back. Don't go away.
So why don't you just meet me in the middle? In the middle, baby.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Kitchen floors are wet, and taps are still running, dishes are broken.
Point with an E, pointpestcontrol.com, 636-798-0023, 636-798-0023. You can address that pest problem that you have in your house with one phone call. Oh, and mention Annie and save 10%. Call 636-798-0023 and talk to Point Pest Control about any sorts of critter problems that you might have. Last Friday, we had Point Pest Control in here, and they talked about getting rid of, things that are rustling around in your attic. Maybe it's a squirrel, maybe it's a raccoon, maybe it's a possum. Ryan asked, what if it was a human? Which they said that they never encountered a squatter. So Ryan,
I'm just still kind of crossing my fingers.
Why did you ask that?
For the best. I don't know. I didn't think it'd be funny.
Flashlights, Ryan.
This sounds like the next Wiggins America is going to be about best places to squat or something. I don't know.
Attics.
Point Pest Control will get rid of all of your non-human critters. But they have never encountered a human, so maybe they're capable of that too. Just haven't had the experience. 636-798-0023, like overstaying 27-year-old college graduate kids that live in your basement.
You kind of know about those people, though.
Point, can you do anything about them? Save 10% on getting your college-age kid out of your basement for once and for all? I don't think they do that. I cannot confirm or deny that they do that.
Vermin.
Well, it's more like termites and mice and spiders. But, call them and ask. Just make sure you save 10% when you mention my name. 636-798-0023, pointpestcontrol.com.
I'm Ultima Morgan. Every year, almost 30,000 babies in America are born with birth injuries. It's every parent's worst nightmare. If your child suffered a birth injury, please call our firm to find out if we can help.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas. Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
Today's YouTube live chat poll is: how should House GOP, the House GOP, handle the big, beautiful... And he just turned my mic off because it's funny. It's such a funny thing to do when you're on the radio. Just turn each other's mics off. Pass Trump's bill, fight for relief, and now Brad's doing it. Fight for more cuts or scrap it. Oh, gosh. What a fun little break this has been. It's the YouTube live chat poll. 147. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Devastating storms impacted our community. Food, clean water, and volunteers are all needed at this time. For a list of resources and ways to give back, visit 971talk.com. It's 971 Talk in action. You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Well, I resisted the urge. I didn't even have the urge to ask Congressman Wesley Bell our YouTube live chat poll. I wonder what he would say. Scrap it.
Yeah, 100%.
How should House GOP handle the big, beautiful bill? Pass President Trump's bill, fight for the SALT relief, fight for more cuts, or scrap it. What are your thoughts?
I cannot be more adamant that they need to fight for more cuts. Fight for more cuts. This is a bill that still doesn't even balance the budget, let alone national debt. I mean, we're still going into debt.
What do you mean, let alone national debt?
I mean, we're not even addressing the national debt. We're making the national debt worse with this bill. So we're not even close to balancing the budget. And I just can't believe that we're at a time right now that either we balance the budget now or the budget will never, ever get balanced.
Do you think that do you think that is actually workable? Do you think they could actually get people in the House to pass it?
You'd have to do extreme things. You'd have to cut entitlements like we've never really been willing to do.
And you think that we should do that?
And I think we have to do that, or we're going to go bankrupt.
You think that we should put that in the bill, and that it's possible it could pass?
They have to pass it. There's
no chance in hell that passes.
This is Republicans negotiating with Republicans. It's not even Democrats. So Republicans aren't even willing to touch entitlements.
If they cut entitlements, 2026 happens, they do the next bill, and guess what's going straight back in there?
No, it's not, because Trump won't sign it. You'd have to have a new president.
At the very least, what you will have is 4 years of a balanced budget, and then it'll go back to craziness.
Well, then we've got to get it into law. You've got to get it now.
You can't rip the Band-Aid off on this. You have to go slow. You have to make minute cuts, and you have to keep cutting.
I think Trump has proven that we have to rip the Band-Aid off on everything. Everything. Otherwise, it'll never happen.
Yeah, but everything he's doing with his pen.
Yes,
and it's all undoable with the next guy.
That's why you do it now. That's why you do the biggest cuts you can do with the Republican Congress now.
I think they are doing the biggest cuts they can do with the Republicans now.
And that is so unfortunate.
Well,
because
I mean,
this is the best you're going to get.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to have
years.
more fiscal responsibility and have some, bulldog fiscal hawks be able to be successful, but it's not realistic.
My point is that it has to get realistic for real Republicans. Like, if there are Republicans that don't get that we're going to bankrupt the country,
that's real Republicans
terrible.
Based on your assessment of what a real Republican is. And that's not, that's why we have 435 people in the House, because your assessment of what a real Republican is not the same as what a Kentucky Republican is, or what a New York Republican is, or what a Texas good grief. Look at some of the Republicans. Look at the senator from Texas. I mean, he's going to get primaried by Paxton. You might be hard-pressed to get this version passed in the Senate.
I'm actually disappointed that Trump, he said yesterday, well, I'm a fiscal hawk. Well, you're not enough of a fiscal hawk to really go after these things then, because he's saying things like, don't touch Medicaid, don't do certain things that are unpopular. And it's like, well, then you're not really a fiscal hawk if you're not willing to do things that are unpopular.
Well, you can be it depends on your definition of what a fiscal hawk is, but there is no room in Washington, D.C. for ideologues, for people who want to live with their head in their cloud and have this purist. People hate to hear this. I understand that, but I got to be honest. While I think that Thomas Massie makes a ton of sense in the things that he's saying, he is a little bit of a grandstander to me. I'm with Donald Trump on this. That having his voice and his influence in Congress is helpful to Congress because he sets the bar on the far libertarian, guy who wears the national debt on his sleeve, literally. Well, I guess this is lapel, whatever. It's important to have that voice in the House to make sure that is not forgotten. And I think that he has had a great influence on people's willingness to pay attention to the things that he highlights. But there's not any one single person in the House of Representatives who can say, we're going to do it my way or I participate in no possible way whatsoever and be a part of a solution when you have this small of a majority. You'll get nothing done. And the consequence here of getting nothing done is far worse than holding out and putting your head on your pillow at night and being like, well, I fought for what I thought was right and nothing got done. It will be a gigantic catastrophe for Republicans. Every bit of goodwill that has been built with Donald Trump, with the promises he made, the things he's done through his executive authority, it will be devastating in the midterms and in 2028 if they are not able to make these tax cuts permanent.
There's nobody in the House that could do that. You're right. Donald Trump could do that, and he's not doing that.
He is doing it.
He wants the Trump agenda, which still spends more than we're making. And I hate that.
It's not, but that's not the whole of the economy. That is a narrow view of the economy. To suggest that just what we spend is the only thing that matters. When you look at what he's trying to do to build back investment and growth, economic growth, and in the domestic area of our economy, that is, in Donald Trump's words, part of the future. If you create more wealth here, in his words, he says you got to bring production back to and jobs back to our country. That is how you balance out the rest of it. Plus, he's cutting out every waste, fraud, and abuse line that he can. It's probably not as much as people thought it would be. I wonder if it's as much as Elon thought it would be. But it's not enough to just say, well, I'm only focusing on how much we spend. You have to also nobody can assess their home budget and just look at how much they spend without considering how much they make. If you know that you're going to get a 10% raise, that affects your ability to spend and what you need to cut.
Yeah, but the problem is we don't know we're going to get a 10% raise. We know we're going to get something back. Like Trump is doing great things on a lot of fronts, and that's one of them, is that he's bringing business back. But that's all projections. We don't really know. We know for a fact what we're spending. So we could cut that and know for sure.
You can't cut it. That's Santa Claus stuff.
I mean, then fine. Like, then I want to be Santa Claus. I want to be the Massies, the Roys. Like, those guys are my heroes because they're standing up for this stuff, and they know long term we can't sustain it.
Yeah,
and that's the point.
There are people in our country who are like that, and I really do think Thomas Massie's not going to come around. I don't know what Chip Roy's going to do. I wish that they would invest in time making deals to politically make those blue states stronger or go harder and raise more money, work harder to get more Republicans elected. I do think it's amazing that the majority is so small that nobody gets to grandstand effectively without having to bear the full weight of crashing the entire thing to the ground. Brad, what do you think about the question?
I think that they should pass it. I think that where we're at, your options have to be not, is this the best bill that there is? Is this the best bill that we can pass? And I think this is probably the best bill that we can pass. I also like a lot of some of the peripherals that are going into this bill. I saw where they're going to remove certain items of the National Firearms Act and Registry, making the Second Amendment more what it should have been. There's a lot of good in this bill, and you can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
I think, too, that you have to have a foundational bill where you can work from, and the amount of the scope with which they're trying to put in a one big, beautiful bill, as Donald Trump has, maybe they've actually officially named it this, I'm not 100% sure, but the amount that they're trying to put into this bill it is a starting point. Once you get this done, they still have room to improve upon that. If they're able to expand their majority in the midterms, which is not anything you could ever count on, but if people feel the success of the Trump administration, the first half of the second term of the Trump administration, something you might be able to do, we need to know what you think. Vote online, the Annie Fry YouTube channel. How should the GOP handle the big, beautiful bill? We'll be right back.
The warm weather may have you thinking about your backyard. Let's make it better this year with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mention my name, Mark Cox, and get their special discount of the month for May, 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Now, they do free in-home estimates, no obligation, free project design. They've got an extensive digital photo gallery of completed projects if you don't have something specific in mind. They can do beautiful wood or vinyl fencing, same with their decks. Those vinyl decks are maintenance-free, and they're fantastic. And, of course, maybe you're considering a custom sunroom, a custom screen room, pergolas, patios, retaining walls. They can do it all, and having their sign in your yard is a sign that you have the very best. Be sure and check them out online and tell them that Mark Cox sent you so you can get that 48 months interest-free financing. Go to chesterfieldfence.com.
The Diamond Shop in Clayton, waiting to see you. You got a graduation gift that you need to buy. It doesn't matter if you're, thinking of like a $100 budget, maybe even less. If you're thinking of something really great, maybe it's for an anniversary. A lot of people get married in May, June, July. So maybe you've got a big anniversary coming up. Make sure you go to the Diamond Shop and see the beautiful things they have right now on sale. Watches are 20% off, even the Movado watches. Men's jewelry is 40% off. So if you're looking for something here in May before the month wraps up to stock up for Father's Day, make sure that you give the Diamond Shop the opportunity to earn your business. You can also save on everything in store, 30% off. It is a great time to go to the Diamond Shop and put yourself in the hands of people who are going to treat you like family. That family-owned and operated business in the Diamond Shop has been here in St. Louis since 1910. They know what they're doing. They know how to help you. They know how to make sure that they earn the right to have you back into the store as their client. You can find them online at thediamondshop.net.
Men. Need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
We all have different ideas of the perfect retirement, but they all depend on the same thing: not running out of money. And preparing for retirement can sometimes be overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Find out how you could build your retirement on your terms. Join host Steve All for the All Financial Hour Saturday mornings at 6 here on 97.1 FM Talk.
You can also visit yourmoneymattersstl.com for more details.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
They're still trying to bridge the gaps. Lisa Brady, Fox News. Republicans remain short of the votes needed to advance the president's agenda, so key lawmakers are heading to the White House at this hour.
House Speaker Mike Johnson wants to pass the massive package involving President Trump's priorities on taxes, spending, energy, and border by the end of the week. But members of the conservative House Freedom Caucus, like Chip Roy, say Republicans aren't there yet.
We're going to work with the president today. We're going to work with our colleagues to deliver. But there's a long way to go.
Freedom Caucus and GOP leadership are set to meet at the White House to possibly strike a deal. Republicans have disagreements over certain tax incentives and Medicaid reforms in the big, beautiful bill.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz is on Capitol Hill. Democrats say the bill would cut health care and nutritional assistance, rejecting the president's reassurances about only cutting waste and fraud from Medicaid. A tense White House meeting for the president of South Africa.
Playing videos of what he says shows the persecution of white farmers in South Africa. President Trump pressed the country's leader about genocide of Afrikaners.
People are fleeing South Africa for their own safety. Their land is being confiscated.
and in many cases, they're being killed.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa explained victims of violence are both white and black and said those calling for the deaths of white farmers represent a minority political group.
Our government policy is completely against what he was saying.
Ramaphosa says he is seeking a partnership with the U.S. to combat crime and improve trade relations.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House, a spokesman for South Africa's foreign ministry, just posting that there is no land confiscation in South Africa. Again, the two presidents did go on to continue a meeting after that Oval Office appearance. America is listening to Fox News.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
The northwest flow is back 60s to near 70 this afternoon, partly to mostly sunny skies. Clear, cool, windy during the evening, then the winds fade, 52. Thursday, sunny, breezy, 68, 49 Thursday night. Friday, sunny and 69. And then, yes, unsettled weather back late Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, though it will not be raining all the time. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
So when you have a situation with your mortgage and you're thinking about maybe taking a loan out, a lot of people's home equity has gone up very much so lately. When you are looking to potentially do a refinance on your home, you got to call Stewie before you make a final decision on what you do. You can access the bagel loan on a mortgage refinance. I am in the process of talking to Stewie about a certain personal situation with me. And if I'm going to do something like this, I'm going to Stewie because he's going to give it to me straight. He's going to tell me, yes, this is what's best for you, or no, this isn't what's best for you. You should maybe consider XYZ. But you can use a bagel loan with a cash out refinance when you work with Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. 314-324-4440. Call or text my friend Stewie and just ask a question. Just if you text him, be like, Annie told me about the bagel loan. I'd like to know more. And that's how it starts. And you can save a ton of money because with the bagel loan, $0 in closing costs. You don't pay to do the whole process. It's fantastic. I've already done it twice. Maybe we'll do it a third time. 314-324-4440. You can Google the bagel loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket wait list at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. Go to nordiciusa.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio. I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
You guys big on live action remakes? Does anybody do that other than Disney?
Good question.
Is there a How to Train Your Dragon live remake happening?
If there's one happening, I don't know about it. There isn't one currently.
I mean, remakes, it's harder to say. I definitely know other studios make live-action versions of animated movies.
Dragon? Dragon is happening? Oh, having this door wide open is so convenient.
It's great. It's like having an extra person.
You don't
on the
have
show.
to even get up. Just yell, Ethan. The studio,
we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. The situation is, and I've said this off the air multiple times. I'm just going to put it out there. It's really hot in the studio right now, and it's a building issue. We are in a big building, like a skyscraper building downtown. So it's not, we can't just fix it ourselves. You have to go through building management.
Yeah, they're doing a full assessment, which
That
I don't
sounds
know, maybe
like
that takes a couple months.
That sounds like bologna sausage to me. That sounds like a line that
Yeah.
Trisha was given that she's like, she told us if we would pass out that it might speed up the process.
Which I was thinking about doing.
I'm okay with that. So we've got the door open. So Ethan's out there and he's participating in a more active place, but from out there. Lilo and Stitch has a remake coming out this Friday, and I'm really excited about it.
Live action?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Have you seen the original Lilo?
I've seen enough of it to know what it is.
I didn't watch it for the first time until maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Wow. And I mean, it came out when we were younger, so I could have watched it. I never did. I don't know why. But we will go. We've watched so many Disney movies, and we'll go back every once in a while and be like, we've never actually watched that. Let's sit down and watch it. And Lilo and Stitch is a really cute story. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. And it's funny to go back and watch. When did that come out? 2000, early 2000s?
Yeah,
maybe?
something like that.
Yeah.
It's funny to go back and watch the pace.
Is it slower?
Yeah. But I mean, it's just, it's like flat animation. I don't know how you would describe it. Like the stuff that we grew up with is not Pixar.
Right.
Pixar is...
It's like original hand-drawn animation,
I think
not
so.
computer-generated animation.
So there's just a simplicity to it that I appreciate, but I don't know. My kids like that kind of, they'll watch those movies and they'll like them, but the story better be really good because you can't do a bunch of other things in the movie that are like sensational to consume visually to cover up for a crap story.
Right.
And I'm just thinking, going forward, I talked a couple weeks ago about Nate Bargatze says he wants to do what Walt Disney does. I think the article was like he wants to be the next Walt Disney. I don't know that anyone gets to be like, I'm going to be the next Walt Disney. Like Walt Disney didn't know that he was going to be the first Walt Disney that we understand him as. But who is out there right now telling really good stories? There is so much content to consume. Like what is a TV show? What is the difference between a TV show and a movie? A movie seems like one episode of a TV show to me. Because if you watched, for instance, Game of Thrones, which my husband and I didn't watch Game of Thrones until Molly was born. I don't think we watched any Game of Thrones before she was born. But we would put everybody to bed between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock. We'd feed Molly at about that time, put her in the bassinet in the room, stay upstairs, and we'd be able to watch like 3, 4, and then every once in a while you have a night where it's like 4 a.m. You're like, we have to know what happens next. I can't stop now. And you'd keep watching it because we'd be up for feedings anyway. But I mean, that would look amazing on a movie screen. What's the difference? And who is out there? Like, it seems like there's room for any story at all to be told.
Yeah, if you can afford to tell it. That's the problem, is that the budget for Hollywood is just
But Hollywood's
not what it was.
Like, Hollywood's not even a thing, though.
No, it's not.
I mean, it's not. Yes, if you have the budget to tell it, but even the things that can break through don't have to be high budget like it used to be either, and you can kind of tell.
Yeah, the problem is, I think we may have discussed this last Wednesday when you were out, that Ben Affleck had a quote that he was saying, look, Hollywood's dying. California needs to do something about it. I just went to Universal Hollywood last year, got to see the huge backlots, the famous backlots. There was basically nothing happening on them. It's amazing. So in the midst of all of this happening,
Were they all still on lockdown from COVID?
I mean, they might be. All of the transition to streaming and all that's been one move for the industry. But at the same time, they're really competing against TikTok. They're competing against short videos now. And so it's hard, like you're saying, you can tell any story, but you got to be able to capture people quick and hold them now.
What's old always becomes new again in one way, shape, or form. And our generation and the generations that have come after millennials really have grown up with this sort of on-demand lifestyle. We were talking earlier in the show about Napster and LimeWire, and that was like the idea that you could just have a song and play it and listen to it. Did you ever tape songs off the radio?
Yeah, I did.
Did you ever do that?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I was a nerd.
There are certain...
I would argue that we were the nerds, but
I think you were
you're
the cool
exactly
one.
right.
Music nerd. But.
Okay. Yeah, there are times, and I think we've talked about this before, where there's a song that comes on now that it doesn't get played a lot because it was popular at the time and it hasn't made it through, But if I hear it, I still hear the DJ talking at the end of it.
Trying to hit the post, and you're like, shut up. I'm
Yeah.
trying to make a recording of this. But then you get the DJ, like you're saying, that whatever iteration you had at home that you could listen to on demand on a cassette tape. You would listen to you hear like a Smashing Pumpkins song, and at the end, it was this particular DJ at Alice Q1041. Was it Q1041? Q1077. Alice was 1041.
Long gone stations.
The River.
Oh,
101.
yeah.
That was my favorite station. The River.
What if God was one of us?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, perfect example. Not Sophie B. Hawkins.
It's so weird being
What was
here
her
now,
name?
too, because some of those DJs are in the building.
Joan Osborne.
Like Trish Gazelle.
Yes.
She'd be on some of those recordings.
There's nothing like being at a radio station and having your show and being like, I used to listen to you when I was growing up. They're like, screw you.
Yeah, they're like,
Shut
I
your
don't want to
mouth.
hear that.
No, I don't really tell people that.
I do.
Can we cue up Chip Roy? I'd like to know what Chip Roy's saying there. I specifically remember on September 11th, when I was driving into school, I was a senior in high school, I heard about the planes hitting the towers because I was listening to Y98. School started at 8:20. I was standard issue pulling into the parking lot at 8:15. And I remember hearing the morning show guy, and I assume it was Guy Phillips, who was probably on at that time. I remember hearing him saying, we're getting reports that there has been an airplane that struck one of the Twin Towers in New York City. And I mean, I remember, I'd love to go back. Someone has to have that, I bet, in this building. The broadcast from that day.
I bet Fred Bottomer has it.
I want to know. I need to go.
He keeps everything.
Because that's what I was listening to that day. And, the radio for us was what we had. That's how you were exposed to anything. That's why people grew so close to radio stations with iconic brands like The Point. Because if you wanted alternative music, you listened to The Point, because that's how you learned about new alternative music. KSHE would be a great place. Both of those radio stations originally with Emmis, when 97.1 was owned by that, have just such passionate followings, because that's how you got exposed to things that were new or special, and it came with context. All of that information used to be wrapped up in listening to the radio, and now you can hear 3 notes of a song. You can hold your phone up while the music is playing in a supermarket. You can find out what that song is, pull it up on Spotify, and play it on repeat to your heart's content. And then you can Google about the artist, and then you can find out where those concert tickets are. Like, all of that information has been pulled off of radio being a destination for that type of stuff. And you would think that would dampen and diminish the relationship that people have with radio. But talk radio specifically, like I said, what's old becomes new once again. podcast became a huge deal. Like in my time in radio, podcast began to exist, blew up, and became huge. Everybody gets a podcast. And just because you have a podcast doesn't mean people listen. Like you can.
That's very true.
Just because you have a radio show does not mean people listen. You have to earn the right to talk to those people every day. And I always say this was when I was at the retirement advisor group thing last night. I was thanking the people who came there, who trusted our advice to come to this free event and to listen to what our partners at the retirement advisor group had to say. You like us, you put us in a preset in your car, you listen to us. You listen to us at 1:45 and Ryan's advocating for Thomas Massey and Chip Roy, and I'm saying pass the damn bill, and one of us made you mad, you push a button, we're gone. Just gone.
Don't do that, though.
No, don't. But the truth of the matter is there are people who are listening to you, Ryan, and they're going, yeah, that's exactly what I think. And people listening to me who are going, Annie, that is exactly right. They think that the common sense resides completely with me, or common sense resides completely with Ryan. And what we get to do here is we get to be a live, accessible version of podcasts. The new generation who's been exposed to podcasts, oh, do you listen to podcasts? They're finding talk radio, and we are a podcast that's happening right now. And that's cool.
Yeah, it's and that's the difference, is that there's so much content out there. We're competing against everything in the entire world, but we're now. And that's our advantage.
And what was then is gone.
Yeah.
Unless you want to get the podcast. Then you
can get the podcast.
Yeah,
too.
then you can get it. Then you can get it as well. But I think that it's interesting just from a content. When I'm looking at so last night I said this a little bit earlier. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days came across. We have a Vizio TV. There's like a Vizio home, and it's just here's all the stuff. Here are all your apps. We are a YouTube TV family, at least for now. It was $35 when I signed up. I think it's $110 now. It's unbelievable. I'm paying for YouTube TV now what I was paying for cable that I got rid of, and I still love the product, though. I'm a huge fan of YouTube TV. But we're sitting there. The Cardinals game got over, and, got to have an app for that. The Cardinals game gets over, and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days came across, and I was like, oh, we should watch that. We've talked about this on the air before, but I'm constantly looking for old movies that I can watch with my kids that I loved, because you don't realize How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, probably late 90s, maybe. The whole movie is about Andy Anderson, who is, what's her name? What's her real name? I always forget her name.
I don't know that movie that well.
Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson, yeah. And Matthew McConaughey are the two leads in that.
Now I know it.
But there are several movies that have them as lead. But anyway, I think this was the main one. But she writes for Composure magazine. It's basically Cosmopolitan. Cosmo.
Composure magazine.
But Composure magazine. And I'm like, so kids, once we used to read magazines. Like
Isn't that crazy?
The whole predicate of the movie is understanding like how big of a deal. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Andy Anderson in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is the how-to author, journalist for Composure magazine. And the entire premise of the movie is not something that my kids even understand. So they're like watching this like it's some sort of historical artifact. and just, the lack of technology being infiltrated in people's lives and everything. It's fun to go back and watch these movies. And I'm always entertained at the movies, at least that make it to resurge with my kids' generation, that the story still holds up with my kids. They still like the stories because the stories are good. We watch a movie that's old, that doesn't have a super biting story. They're not paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like, it seems to me that we live in a time right now where it's the converse, where now everything is super stimulating, but the stories suck. Did you see that this year they just passed a new rule at the Oscars, I believe? I don't think we've talked about this on this show. I saw it on Outnumbered. They passed a new rule, I believe it was with the Oscars, that the people voting, I don't know if it's just for Best Picture or for all of it, are now required to watch all the movies.
No.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though. Those people have to watch a lot of stuff to vote, and they probably skip a lot.
So, what is good? I never wait for the Oscars to come around and be like, ooh, what do I need to watch? I just think it's all crap. I mean, like the system, not the movies. And then every once in a while, I'll stumble into a movie that I remember 7 years ago getting a ton of hype, and I was like, oh, I'm sure it's great. And then I stumble into it, and I'm like, that was really a great movie. Like Harry Potter.
I don't think that won Best Picture.
I don't know. I watched them at the end of last year. Like, we're like, oh, fine, we'll do it. And I was embarrassed to tell people, like, do you know these Harry Potter movies are pretty good? They are good. I'm telling you right now.
Somebody listening now is like, I haven't heard about that.
No, for sure. There are people listening right now who have for decades now, exactly, for decades now have been like, I've never seen a Harry Potter. I was that person at this time last year. And now I've seen them all, and we've watched them all at least 2 times, maybe 3 times. They're really good movies. It's a really good story. I did not turn into a devil worshiper for watching Harry Potter wizard movies.
Remains to be seen. Check yourself.
Before you wreck yourself. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that there's so much content that's available. I'm waiting for kids and young adults right now to learn to crave good content and to, like, especially moving far, far away from the, what lesson did we learn, children, when you watch some sort of movie? Like, what did you learn about yourself from having taken in this masterful piece of art in the form of film? I'm like, just tell me a really fun story about a magazine journalist who's trying to make a guy break up with her who is trying to win a bet by making a girl fall in love with him. It's magic.
Yeah, we just watched the Mighty Ducks the other day.
Yeah, and good still?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, watching it as an adult versus when I was 8 or 10 or whatever it was, you're like, come on. You're on the front of Hockey Monthly. But you're just some borough in New York.
Don't you still watch it, though? And like,
whatever it was.
Don't you tap into something, though, that was yours?
Oh,
when
absolutely.
And aren't you, like, you got to be, like, cool with that. Give that little thing inside of you a warm hug and live in it.
And the notes that it hits, you know it's going to do this, and then it's going to do this. Not just because it's the Mighty Ducks and you've seen it, but because that's the plan. It's going to hit all these things. But when it hits them, looking over at my kids, because they don't know, like, the formula, looking over at them, and they're like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe he scored right at the end.
Holy cow, that is amazing. I'm glad I stuck it through.
They're so excited.
He didn't hit the post.
You know what movie we just watched with our kids that I just completely revisited an enormous amount of disappointment? So next week, Thursday, I leave for Hawaii. We watched 2001 Pearl Harbor.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Space Odyssey. 2001 Space Odyssey.
2001 Pearl Harbor. The opportunity to make that movie freaking awesome was right there in their palm. And they decided to tell a 2-hour, 30-minute love story with 30 minutes of action. Like, oh, and these people died. And it actually made me angry.
And 30 minutes of Aerosmith.
No.
Don't want to close my eyes.
That's Armageddon, you goofball.
Ah, dang.
Not a historical event.
I thought that was that movie. I never watched that movie because
Fail.
I knew it was going to be pretty much Armageddon made into Pearl Harbor.
When you go back to looking, when you go back and you watch Pearl Harbor and you know that the hype was so big for that movie. Ben Affleck, who just like, I think he actually won World War II by himself after I watched that movie. I think it was just like, good thing we had him. Ben Affleck, Josh Hartnett, who's better looking than Ben Affleck, I might add, in this love story. I mean, I remember.
Not with each other.
No. They were best buds. The amount of that story that is centered around this love story is so patently offensive. I think about people who certainly would have been alive, who at that time, who fought in World War II. If they went there to like reflect on that moment in their life, like they're owed an apology.
I'm glad to hear that because I never watched that movie. I heard that at the time that movie came out.
Oh yeah, I mean it was panned so bad. I think the only thing it might have won is Hans Zimmer did great music for it, but like everything is dramatized. Every time love interests come in the scene, there's the beautiful Hans Zimmer music. It's like, okay, all right, we get it. It just there's the Battle of Midway. My husband's like, we got to watch that next because that's like also similar time frame or whatever. But I think we're going to go back and be like, kids, sit down. We're watching Tora. So that's coming up next.
Good.
You want to watch an old movie and a good story. It's a good story, a bad story. I don't know how you...
I don't know. What's that about?
Pearl Harbor.
Tora Tora Tora?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know that I've seen
Tiger,
that
tiger,
either.
tiger. That's what the Japanese said when they launched the attack on Pearl Harbor.
No, I haven't seen that then.
Yeah, dummy. I didn't know that. Brad said that like obviously.
I told you
I've
guys
never
I was a
even
nerd.
I've never even seen the movie, let
You
alone
said-
the reason for the title.
He said he was a nerd because he didn't record music on cassette tapes.
I was busy watching Tora Tora Tora.
Yeah, that's all right. At least somebody is doing some homework here. All right, let's take a quick break. YouTube live chat poll. How should the House GOP handle the big, beautiful bill? Ryan says, fight for more cuts. Brad and I say, pass Trump's bill. Fight after you get those tax cuts locked in. What do you say? Nanny Fry YouTube channel. Come weigh in. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
barrydoorandwindow.com. Oh, man, when you go to the showroom there in Chesterfield to see Barry Door and Window from the inside out, you've got the idea of this new home that you're building, and you want these beautiful custom doors to really be showstoppers within the home. Barry Door and Window is there to make sure that they deliver A-plus work for your new home. Another thing that they can do if you're trying to transform the inside of your home, maybe it's an old historic home, they can help you make sure that you match that aesthetic, maybe even match actual doors that you have in your home. You have a solution in Barry Door and Window. They have the customization, limitless customization that you need to make sure that your doors are exactly what you're looking for, and they make them right there in-house. They also offer high-quality wood and vinyl windows that do not compromise the dreams that you have of having these beautiful windows shape the aesthetic of your home, but also provide the wonderful security that you need in your home with custom windows. Installations are performed by their own expert installers, and the people who work for Barry Door and Window, they're not working for other people, and they have worked for Barry Door and Window for a long time. The atmosphere is great. It's just missing you. Call 314-423-DOOR. 314-423-DOOR. barrydoorandwindow.com.
We get it. Attention spans just aren't what they used to be. Heads in social media and eyes on Netflix. But what do people do with their ears? Well, for one, they're listening to audio. Americans spend 4.4 hours with audio every day. Oh, and you want the proof? Well, you just sat through this ad that's now approaching 30 seconds. What could you say to a potential customer in 30 seconds? Let Odyssey put together a media plan tailor-made for your unique marketing needs. Advertise with Odyssey. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
This Memorial Day weekend, bring your crew to Busch Stadium to see the Cardinals take on the D-backs. May 23rd to the 25th, catch great promotions all weekend long, including a Mason Win bobblehead and a Kid City Connect jersey giveaway. Kick off your summer with ballpark hot dogs, ice-cold beers, and entertainment for the whole family. Tickets are available at Cardinals.com. This is how summer is meant to be. See you at the ballpark.
This is Alec Burleson, St. Louis Cardinals, for the Lou.
Hey parents, looking for something fun and unforgettable to do with the kids? Bring the whole family to a Cardinals game at Busch Stadium. From kid-friendly activities and giveaways to awesome promotions like Kids Run the Bases. Your little ones will have a blast, and so will you. Check out Family Sundays, presented by Smithfield, where select tickets include a free jumbo hot dog and soda. There's nothing like sharing the magic of Cardinals baseball together. Make your memories this summer at Busch Stadium. Tickets are available at Cardinals.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-525-9369. 800-525-9369. 800-525-9369.
Life is challenging and ever-changing. Take control with passive income through real estate investing. Learn how, learn now. Let Del Walmsley and Lifestyles Unlimited's investors and mentors show you. Meet Del's team and get educated now at Lifestyles Unlimited. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for just $297. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Work with our colleagues to deliver, but there's a long way to go. And I want to be very clear. We've got to deliver on what we're talking about, or we're not going to be able to get the bill done.
Chip Roy talking about getting the one big beautiful bill done. I think he would just say right now it's one big bill. I don't know if he's got the beautiful in it. You know what they say about Chip Roy? He puts the beautiful in big, beautiful bill. I don't know if anyone's ever said that before. I'm waiting to see what happens here. I am not at all bothered by the back and forth, the arguing, the jockeying, the posturing. It doesn't bother me at all. This is how it's done. And it's a very open and public way to make the sausage. But, folks, it's happening right in front of you. You're getting to see the people's business being done in front of the people. It doesn't happen like this in other places around the world. This is actually beautiful and special that we get to observe this, that people can be really fired up, that people can disagree in really, really strong ways in a civilized fashion in our nation's capital, fight and claw to make sure that they get what's best for their constituents, what they really feel is right and good for them. And at the end, it shakes out. Not everybody is super happy. Not everybody is super upset. It's a compromise. That's the way it gets. That's the way when stuff gets done, the way it gets done. And it's not a pretty process, but if you want a pretty process, just, go follow the monarchy in the United Kingdom or something. Like that's not what we do here. And there's nothing wrong with that. When people talk about, I get so annoyed when people are like, all politicians are crooks, and I've said this many times before. I'll say it again. How many people out of the 538 people in Congress can you name? Chances are you name all of the people who are in front of television cameras quite a bit. You probably can't name, I don't know, you people are smart. But if you go into the store and you ask people to just write down how many people in Congress can you name, there are a lot of people who could name zero.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people would probably slap you for even walking up and asking that question in the store.
Yeah.
I'm trying to shop here.
Kind of matters on which store you're going into. It's just important to understand that we have such a microscope on the process, but we get to watch the process, and that is a good thing. That is a good thing. And also, we have all forms of media, of course, that are taking in each and every passing second. The Congress folks, has anyone ever said that before? Congress folks.
Congress folks.
So gross. Congress folks, Congress people.
You gotta really get down in the throat for the L. Congress folks.
That's what I'm gonna call them until they pass this dang bill. That's what
Next time you go to D.C., call them all that to their face.
Hey, folks.
We'll do it. Just stop.
That's Annie. She's back. She calls people Congress folks.
Oh, I gotta write something down here.
To remember next time you go talk to Mike Bost?
No, I just can't say that on the air. I want to play this clip because in the midst of everything that is happening, every passing second, we have people whose job it is to relay that information to us. Now, I got no problem with people out there relaying information, as we do. I am not a reporter. I would not call myself a journalist. I'm a commentator. I'm watching the world spin and commenting on it as it happens. And you listen to this show because you agree with what I say, or you listen to the show because you disagree with what I say, and you like to engage your thought process and think for yourself. Amen to that. the Jake Tapper thing, I asked this a little bit with Deroy Murdock when we spoke to him at 105. The Jake Tapper situation, I think, is potentially devastating, not just for Jake Tapper, but also for CNN.
We're back with breaking news in our politics lead and a brand new excerpt from my upcoming book with Axios' Alex Thompson. It's called Original Sin. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's on Biden's decline. It's called Original Sin. I'm sure you've heard on May 20th. That's Tuesday. Original Sin. That's coming out in 3 weeks. On May 20th, that's just 19 days away. In 1 week and 1 day. Coming out in just a few days. Comes out Tuesday. You will not believe what we found out.
So this is Jon Stewart. Reacting.
Don't news people have to tell you what they know when they find it out? Isn't that the difference between news and a secret?
I mean, the point that he's making here, like, I was annoyed, but Jake Tapper always looks like he got called into work from vacation. Do you know what I'm saying? He's always like not really happy to be there, annoyed, bothered by work. But it makes sense because when he's not at work, I guess he's writing books about the things he's not telling the American people on his show. I mean, this guy is a journalist, and Jon Stewart calling him out is great.
You won't believe what we found out. No, that's why I'm watching. Breaking news in a week. Now, I don't know how the rest of the country is feeling about this book coming out, but I know New York is hyped. How do you pivot from excitedly promoting your anchor's book to somberly and respectfully promoting your anchor's book?
So Jon Stewart's setting up here a montage, which I'm going to play for you, because you got to remember, as indicated there in the first montage that they played, for weeks they've been talking about this book coming out. For weeks. And then, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you look at it, last weekend we found out that the president has cancer. So how do you continue to promote the book while also being in the presence of this cancer diagnosis?
Biden's health was very much in the news even before the cancer diagnosis was announced on Sunday. That's because of a new book by CNN's Jake Tapper.
This was already going to be a tough week, and this makes it much harder. And that is a reference to the fact that our colleague, Jake Tapper, and Alex Thompson have a book that's set to publish on Tuesday.
This very tough news, this very challenging news, and at the same time, the backdrop of our colleague Jake Tapper's book with Alex Thompson coming out this week.
It's so hard. It's such a difficult time, so unfathomable in terms of the pain this family must be feeling. And yet, if you act now, and you use the code / tap that book, you will.
I mean, he makes a great point, and it's good to see that. I don't know that this is really a partisan thing. I don't know that the Democrats can afford to make this a partisan thing. They're going to try, but I think there's been a few people, like the Jamie Raskins of the world. They come out and they take a big red plastic bat, put down the yellow wiffle ball bat. We need the red one. We're taking a chopper at this. You know, it's the red bat that the little kids had to use.
Yeah, it's got a bigger barrel.
Yeah, but not the yellow one. That's for the grown-ups.
Yeah.
Get the red bat. We need to swing big. I think that in light of the news of the president's diagnosis, that we should all pay respects to the president and forego these conversations. No! That's not... You can't tell us on the other side of the aisle politically that we're not allowed to talk about it when Jake Tapper on CNN is telling you that in weeks you can find out what happened, and Jon Stewart is there calling him out. I commend him for that.
I know that we told you for 4 years that you couldn't talk about this. Now he's out of office. People started talking about it, but we want you to respect the continued not talking about it.
No, your games are over. You lost. You lost big. We're not playing by your rules anymore. You don't own the referees anymore. I mean, Jake Tapper was the referee. Jake Tapper was the guy who had an audience with the president who could have pushed him on these things. If you haven't heard it yet, Megyn Kelly sliced and diced Jake Tapper over his really just, I said this word already once, but I'm going to say it again, abdication of his responsibilities. He just completely did not press the president on cognitive decline, on health, on mental stability. We hear regularly from folks in the media about whether or not Donald Trump is fit to be the president. We heard that in the first term. Remember, what was it? He took that mental fitness test, and it was like clock, TV, dog, wrench.
Yes, that was one of them.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, but he also had the time where he walked down the ramp kind of slow. People were like, uh-oh, he's dying.
He'll tell the story about that too. He'll be like, the ramp was slick. I had a serviceman there who helped me because I didn't want to slip down and fall like President Biden did. And because he doesn't slip and he takes it slow, they're like, I don't know if he's fit to serve.
The water bottle.
When he grabbed it with two hands that one time.
I mean, these people are insufferable. And the difference is now we get to be on this side of it where President Trump is back in office and we're like, guess what? We don't care.
The trust issue with
There
the
has
voters.
always been a mass trust issue because politicians, media, nobody does what they're supposed to do. Now, I say, for me, listen, he's 83, so he's a little stumbly, he's a little rumbly. I can't point to anything that he's done as that he did.
No,
as
but he's been running for his next 4 years.
But I'm saying, I want, not you, but I want somebody to tell me, well, when did you know it was bad?
No.
If you knew, why did you wait?
Yeah, so can I answer that,
Can
though?
I get in
He
for a
said
second?
that it was after he moderated the debate.
Yes, but that's not, I'm sorry, baby. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you're telling me that hundreds of people knew that he was not able to do his job, then where the hell was everybody?
No! You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. Whoopi Goldberg sitting in the hen house at the Views like, why didn't anybody say anything? You guys just had him on.
Yeah, they were, and multiple times they would talk to him.
And he wouldn't finish
Jill.
it. He wouldn't finish a sentence, and Jill would be like, well, and she'd put her hand on Joe's forearm and explain things. Do you remember? First of all, we know that Joe Biden left the debate and walked out to Jill and said, I effed that up. I effed up, I think is what he said. And then, do you know what Jill did? They went out to their supporters on stage, and Jill goes, you answered every question. Whoopee! Right there. Like, that's when you know. And that was at the end of the first term. These people, I'm starting to think that maybe they are just dumb. Maybe it's not this big conspiracy where they're playing some sort of chat. I think some of them at least are just dumb. Because there's no, like, Whoopi is sitting there.
Those ladies are dumb. I can solve that for you.
Who saw this coming and didn't say anything? Well, you wouldn't know because it's called The View, because it's one view. And if you have anybody else, where's Joy Behar? Where's her cackling hen house of a view that just hates everything Donald Trump does and thinks that if it's anti-Donald Trump, then it's good. It doesn't matter what it is. That's just how she feels. That's how you get to the point where one of two things is happening. You're so dishonest that you think you can sit around that half circle of a table and say to the American people, who knew when and why didn't they say anything? In May of 2025, you have to be so deceptive to sit there and say that, or you got to be really stupid. And I don't know at this point which one it is.
She starts the clip by saying, well, this was a complete drop of the ball by the media. And you're like,
if only we knew anybody.
What are you talking about?
If only we could find anybody.
You know, it's like they're racing to be the worst hypocrites possible about this. Jake Tapper has made himself the focal point of everybody going, you knew, and now you're writing a book about it?
And you're saying we'll tell you in weeks when you buy the book.
They all want your attention to say, yeah, this was bad. We want credit for it now. But how would we even know?
Point and laugh, people.
Man.
Point and laugh at them. We are a little teeny tiny operation in St. Louis, Missouri, on a regional radio station. We have been saying this, and not alone, for all of the years that Joe Biden was the president. Go back to the election. Going into 2020, we're like, there's no way. There's no friggin' way. And I know where I was sitting, coming back from Effingham, Illinois, when Klobuchar and Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg all dropped out. Like that. And we're like, why? Joe Biden didn't win nothing. He made a deal with what, South Carolina? He wasn't winning anything. He had no support. And for some reason, everybody who maybe would have had a chance dropped out right before the Iowa caucus. And everybody pivoted to Joe Biden. It's, in my opinion, because they knew of his cognitive abilities and they knew that he could be controlled and managed and that the plan would be able to be put in place. That, to me, if that is what happened, is treasonous. It's a coup. It's everything they've threatened the American people, saying that Donald Trump would do. They were doing it while they were lying about it. And Whoopi Goldberg's like, I just can't believe the media would do something like this. Shut up! And I like Whoopi. Except for that, I like, what's her name in Ghost?
I don't know. Guinan is the only one I know.
Something Brown.
Murphy.
Don't remember. Murphy Brown.
I don't think she's Murphy Brown. Let's take a quick break. The YouTube live chat poll results when we come back. But you got to hustle up and vote. How should the House GOP handle the big, beautiful bill? They should pass Trump's bill. You want them to fight for SALT relief, fight for more cuts, scrap the whole thing. Annie Fry YouTube channel. Back in a minute.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
The Retirement Advisory Group, your key to unlocking a worry-free retirement. Phone call away. 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. Or you can go online to retirementkey.com. Do a little bit of your own vetting. I certainly do that before I make a phone call like this. The conversation that you're going to have, the appointment that you're going to make with the Retirement Advisory Group doesn't cost you anything. It's just information. It's an information-seeking endeavor for you to make sure you know exactly that this is the right thing for you. So you sit down and you talk with Thomas Helbig, you talk with Bob Kershaw, you talk with Tammy Kershaw, the family business at the Retirement Advisory Group. You learn how they help you, how they protect you, and they give you that key to your worry-free retirement. Then it's your choice if you want to hire them to get the job done. Call 314-993-9494 and make your appointment today. That's 314-993-9494. Or you can find them online at retirementkey.com.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholt of Kaufman Townsley. We've won the trust of thousands of clients who are victims of careless drivers. We have the team, the talent, and the tenacity to get you the money you deserve. Call 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
Cardinals fans, there are more ways this season to watch your Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Network. For the first time, you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals without blackouts. Monthly, seasonal, and annual packages available. Also new this season, you can stream FanDuel Sports Network through Amazon Prime Video with an add-on subscription. As always, you can watch FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Cardinals.com/TV to learn more.
Hey, it's Mark Cox. Now is a great time to be a home seller in the St. Louis market. Home values are up an average of 2.2% year over year, which means you can take advantage of high prices in a low inventory market. But you should act fast. Start by talking to St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. While the average realtor sells 4 to 5 homes a year, Gloria has sold nearly 400 homes in the last 2. Plus, Gloria sells faster and for more money. Gloria is so confident she'll guarantee to sell your home at a price acceptable to you, or Gloria will buy it. It may seem like a good idea to use that discount realtor or that friend who sells a few homes a year. It could literally cost you thousands of dollars. Worse, your home may not even sell. My advice, call Gloria Lou today at 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket wait list at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
Gain peace of mind that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's Flooring Outlet. They give all their clients attentive personal service, even bring toys for the kids of the household. It's a family-owned and operated business for 25-plus years. They make sure you make the right choice for your home. So if you have carpets or hard floors, you're going to be happy for years to come. 3 convenient locations in St. Charles County, 116 Main Street, in Old Town St. Peters at Mid-Rivers and Highway 70, in West County on Olive, and the store in Darden Prairie. Michael's Flooring Outlet, IGotFloor.com.
Well, the House GOP has not figured this out yet, so we're asking you, if you can, how should the House GOP handle the big, beautiful bill? Should they pass Trump's bill? Should they fight for SALT relief, state and local tax relief? Should they fight for more cuts or scrap the thing entirely? It's the YouTube live chat poll. Let us know what you think. We'll get the results here in just a couple minutes. It is 2:51. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Air Comfort Service, making sure that you are in your comfort zone year-round means making sure your AC is working appropriately. If you have to call an HVAC place to make sure that the air that's been blowing over and over and over throughout the course of the day, it's just not getting your house cool, who can you call that you can trust? Air Comfort Service. That's who comes out to my home when we have needs. We've trusted them to replace basically our whole HVAC system. They are there to help you as well. And if you reach out to them, have them come out and do a system check, you need to make sure you get in line for one of their 2024 air conditioning units, because regulations have caused the 2025 and on models to need to use a new refrigerant. And guess what? Those regulations are going to have the prices jack up 20%. Air Comfort Service stocked up on 2024 wonderfully perfect brand new units, and they can put one in your home and you can save that money. But you need to call while they still have that option available. 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. Stay in your comfort zone with Air Comfort Service online at aircomfortservice.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon getting ready here on a Wednesday afternoon. If you thought that the Zelensky moment in the White House with Trump was quite something, wait until you hear about today with the South African president. I can't even put it into words. We'll do our best. We're also going to revisit this sirens issue in the city of St. Louis. It's all coming up after Fox News at 3.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
On a cloudy day, when it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. I guess you say, what can make me feel this way, my girl, my girl.
I don't even know if I can interrupt Ethan.
Well, you can now because that's pretty much all I know.
Feel in the moment. Man, there's just some things, if you tune into the YouTube, you just get to experience. I want to play this clip for you before we go. It's super short, but it is adorable. We played a little bit of this yesterday while it was happening. The press team in the White House brought kids in. It was Bring Your Kids to Work Day.
Okay, let's hear it. What's the president's religion? What's the president's religion? The president is a Christian, and he believes in Jesus. Okay,
Oh, isn't that adorable? Oh, that's so cute. That is a cute girl. I love that.
If you haven't watched the full thing, you need to.
Yeah,
it was
you said it.
Hilarious. It was so cute, so funny. The questions were so innocent, and Carolyn Levitt did an amazing job.
She just does not.
And her baby was there.
Yeah, she's 27. She is doing a great job.
It makes me wonder what I'm doing with my life.
Hey, easy.
You're not 27 yet. Oh, God, that's the expectation for 27? Holy cow.
Yeah,
Sean,
it is.
everybody, you're the associate producer for the Mark Reed Show. We're happy to have you. We know that bigger, brighter things are probably on your horizon, and I never, ever want to hear that, but I do at the same time. The YouTube live chat poll, let's go around the room real quick here before we wrap. Are we 56 or 57?
57.
How should House GOP handle the big, beautiful bill? Pass Trump's bill, fight for the SALT relief, fight for more cuts, or scrap it? Brad, your thoughts on this real quick?
Pass Trump's bill. This is a really good bill. It's probably as good as you're going to get. Take the win. Move on.
Brian?
I like aspects of this bill. Fight for more cuts.
What
are you doing?
I tried it. Well, you see, Ethan and I have like a last segment thing. I put a poll question up. Everybody votes in it. He gives the results, and I always make eye contact with Ethan to be like, "Hey, you want to weigh in on this?" And he was emphatically shaking his head no.
The
Over
one
there.
time you weren't looking at me.
Well, no, I was looking at you, but then when I went to them, you weren't. It was just a misconnection.
Okay, it's okay. We're off day. It's okay.
You want to answer the question?
I just don't have enough knowledge on it to really give a fair answer. I put
just scrap it.
I put past Trump's bill on there, and I little sneak peek at the answer.
Yeah.
I picked the favorite,
Yeah.
but I don't really have much of an opinion on this. I thought you guys had great dialogue about it earlier, though.
Do you think, Brad, that it's going to pass before Saturday?
I
In the
actually
House?
do. I do. I think it'll pass the House before Saturday. I think they're really close.
Ryan, will you cry when it passes before Saturday? Like a
Yes.
little baby in the corner.
Yes, I'll be yelling about it all weekend on Wiggins
gonna be
America.
like, Chip Roy, why did you let
Go
me
back
down?
No, Chip Roy's not going to let me down. It's everybody else. So tune in this weekend and hear me screaming.
Nice.
Yes.
Sorry, I just like making that noise.
Where did that
Ethan,
come from?
Ethan, hit us with the. If you don't,
Yeah. Fortunately, it's my turn to take over here. 254 votes on today's YouTube live chat poll. How should House GOP handle the big, beautiful bill? As I teased just a moment ago, the large majority of you have picked pass Trump's bill, 77% to be exact, 4% saying fight for the SALT relief, 15% saying fight for more cuts, and 4% saying to scrap the whole thing.
Ryan, I want you to go to Johnny Brock's. I want you to get a costume of a very large man, and I want you to walk around town with a sign that says "Big Beautiful Bill." And I just want you to say, "Hi, I'm Bill," and see if people support you. The Mark Reardon Show was something better than that. In a minute, don't go away.
Tomorrow, some of us will wake up and it will be our last day on this earth. It will be unexpected and without warning. Each year, 250,000 people will die from medical malpractice, the third leading cause of death in America. 43,000 will die in a car or truck crash. 6,000 will die working on the job. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, and we represent many of these families. It's awful. Unfortunately, many times some of these family members are not speaking and never get to say, "I'm sorry" or "goodbye." If you're at odds with a loved one, listen closely. Pick up the phone. Call them. Say you're sorry. I promise a huge burden will be lifted from your heart and your soul will be renewed. Even if you're not wrong in your own mind, it doesn't matter. Death is bad enough. Death without closure and love will follow you the rest of your days. Trust me on this. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare